Second brother is injured. Second brother is injured. Long Fei's eyes narrowed and said, "What's going on?" Phoenix released Long Fei and said, "Bailey Tianhai and Zhao Dahan are going to complete a mission. I don't know what kind of mission it is, but after you fainted, the two of them kept on accepting missions, saying that they want to earn 900 points and then participate in the intersect examination together. There was no one else in the Phoenix's world but Long Fei. Regarding Bailey Tianhai, she did not really care about him. Thus, there were many things that he did not understand. Long Fei walked down the bed and quickly walked to the courtyard, and Zhao Dahan were both on the verge of death. Their hair was in a mess, and their clothes were torn apart, causing their entire bodies to be covered with wounds. Long Fei frowned. He secretly clenched his fists and instantly landed beside the two of them, saying, "Help them into the room." Bailey Tianhai opened his eyes with much difficulty. Seeing Long Fei, the corners of his mouth slightly curled, and said, "I knew it. I knew boss would wake up. Ha ha." Cough, cough, cough. Coughing a few times consecutively, fresh blood spurted from his mouth. Long Fei said, "Don't talk for now." The idea moved Dragon Quang. The Dragon Berserker idea moved and quickly sensed Bailey Tianhai's injuries. Bailey Tianhai's eyes closed slightly. It was painful, extremely uncomfortable, but there was a smile on his lips. If Long Fei could wake up, he would be willing to let him suffer a heavy injury. When Zhao Dahan heard Long Fei's voice, he also woke up. Looking at Long Fei, his first sentence was, "Boss, save second brother first." I'm fine." "Luby." Long Fei's fists were popping out. He felt very upset. Dragon Quang quickly checked their bodies and then said, "The two of them can live. This is a complete miracle. Even with only a single breath remaining, I can't imagine what happened to them. I really can't help but sigh at the power of life." Bailey Tianhai's four brains were damaged. All of the muscles and bones in his body were in disorder. His internal organs were practically all twisted together. Zhao Dahan is even more serious. His body is basically crippled. His internal organs, tendons, bones, everything is injured. Also, his rock inherent skill has been damaged, I'm afraid. Hearing these words, Long Fei's heart ignited with a ball of flame as he said, "Don't tell me about this. Is there any hope for survival?" Long Quang Dao. "There is, but it's a bit troublesome and requires a lot of spiritual herbs. You won't be able to take one out right now." Long Fei said, "I can't even take one out. How can this be called a method? What can I take out? No matter the cost, I must save them." At this time, Phoenix walked into the room and said, "My honey, I still have a lot of spiritual medicines. I can." Long Quang also immediately said, "Master, if I want to let them recover in the shortest amount of time, this girl's spirit blood can do it. Her spirit blood can treat any injuries, and adding my power control, it won't harm Bailey Tianhai and the others' bodies." This is the most. Without waiting for Long Quang to finish speaking, Long Fei suddenly became extremely gloomy and said, "This is the first time. If there's anyone who wants to attack the Phoenix a second time, I will kill you." It was extremely sinister. The dragon was trembling. If Long Fei was awake, he definitely would not let the Phoenix use its blood to save him. Nothing must happen to Phoenix. Absolutely not. Long Fei said in a deep voice, "You remembered it." Long Quang Dao, I understand. "I'm sorry, Master. I shouldn't have said that. He was also feeling anxious for a moment. Long Fei slightly retracted his aura and said, "The blood of the Phoenix can save lives, so my blood can also do the same." Long Quang was startled and said, "Master, your blood is so supreme. How can you give it to them? Every single drop of yours is incomparably precious to you. And to you, spirit blood." Long Quang did not finish. 2 drops of spirit blood's blood had already appeared on top of the palms. With a slight movement of spirit blood, it landed on the corners of his and Zhao Dahan's mouths. Spirit blood merged into his body. Next, rays of light flashed across their wounds, carrying with them powerful healing abilities. Not only that, their own strength was also transforming crazily. In just a few seconds, Bailey Tianhai's 4 brain energy transformed, and in that few seconds his brain regenerated and split into 8 brain parts. His entire body was enveloped in a powerful glow. Zhao Dahan's entire body congealed into pitch-black, deep cold stone and iron, becoming extremely hard. The energy from his body exploded out wave after wave of rumbling sounds. It was abnormally thick. The entire room was filled with power. Long Fei's face paled slightly. Spirit blood did not agree with ordinary blood. It was Long Fei's cultivation and also the essence of the ancient dragon body's power. When he was in Universal Realm, he used his own spirit blood to help his brother break through. Just what kind of blood vein was he? I don't know. But he knew that his blood vein was abnormally strong, capable of saving others and breaking through. Long Quang carefully examined their injuries and said, all of them are healed. His inherent skill has changed. Bailey Tianhai's 4 brains have become 8. Zhao Dahan's innate talent has also undergone a metamorphosis. The strength of an ancient intermediate disciple has already awakened to the 3rd realm. Right now, his defense is something even the immortal swordsman rank cannot do. Master, your spirit blood can indeed bring a strong breakthrough for anyone, but it will harm you greatly. I believe that Big Brother Black and White, Big Brother Demon, also told you to use your spirit blood as little as possible. Long Fei said in a bland voice, I understand. Long Fei was the kind of person who cared about everything for his brothers and his family, let alone spirit blood. He could even bear to lose his life. Seeing that the 2 people's injuries had stabilized and their breathing had also calmed down, Long Fei's brows relaxed slightly. Bringing Phoenix with him, he walked out of the room and said, let them rest well and get some sleep. They walked to the courtyard. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth were all standing in the courtyard. The water was a neighbor girl with a few freckles on her face. The moment she saw Long Fei, she immediately knelt down. Thank you for saving my brother. Long Fei waved his right hand, and a surge of energy immediately helped them up. Long Fei said, they also saved me. They were the ones who carried me back. All right, I won't say anything else. Now, all of you, remember what I have said. Long Fei moved and said, Dragon Quang, tell me the 5-element cultivation method. Long Quang Dao. Understood. As Long Quang said this, Long Fei followed with another sentence. The 5 listened very seriously. After hearing all of this, the 5 of them seemed to have found a new world, their eyes burning with admiration. Long Fei said, in the past, you all were unable to break through because you all did not awaken the power in your bodies. You all have the 5 elements, and each of you all have your own unique power. Cultivate well. After Long Fei finished speaking, he walked out of the courtyard. Task failed. Task failed. Even if they failed, even if the Heaven Fairyland was incomparably dangerous, Bailey Tianhai and his sister Zhao Dahan wouldn't be injured to such an extent. Bailey Tianhai relied on his brain to survive. He would definitely not let himself fall into that hopeless situation. Thus, if Long Fei could think of it with his toes, they must have been targeted. Moreover, the task credit tablets on their bodies were gone. This meant even more that someone was harming them. He could kill, but not kill. Merely stealing the task credit meant that these people did not wish to see Bailey Tianhai in the intersect examination. After analyzing it this way, there was only one person, Lin Yuan. They had offended Lin Yuan in the selection. Thinking about it, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. The killer should be him, right? Why are you so against me? You don't want me to enter the intersect? All right, this old man is insistent on going in. When the time comes, to celebrate with your head. Long Fei clenched his fists, and the power around his body exploded outwards. Not long after, he arrived at Task Palace. If you want to enter the intersect, then you must have enough task credit to register. For the 3 of them, they had 900 points in task credit, not a single point less. Moreover, Long Fei only had 3 days. He had to complete it within 3 days. In the entire mission page, there was only one mission that could cause Long Fei to complete the 2nd stage of the 3 divine missions, the Heaven Seizing Court, in such a short period of time. Task reward, 900 points. One time was enough. Long Fei didn't hesitate to go to the window and accept the mission. Junior brother, this mission will close this afternoon. I advise you not to take the risk. Too many people died in there. The mission was too dangerous. Over a period of time, over 100 disciples had died, and those who came back had become trash. This kind of mission was too dangerous and had to be removed. Long Fei persisted. I won't die. The man looked at Long Fei and said, as you wish. There was a quest mark added to his identity plate. Receiving the mission, Long Fei turned around and left. It was also at this time. In the next window, there was a very large woman. This was the first time Long Fei had seen such a tall and big woman. Her height exceeded 2 meters, and she wore a long and thick whip on her neck. Dressed in a tight suit, it also brought out her figure perfectly. His expression was a little cold. There was a trace of contempt in his eyes. No one around her dared to approach her. It was as if they were all afraid of her. All sorts of soft discussions could be heard from the crowd. Have you heard? She defeated Su Wufu, who is ranked 8th in the top 10 experts list. When did you get all the news? Yesterday, the 4th powerhouse on the top 10 rankings, Lu Xiaotian, was crippled because of a single sentence. This girl is too fierce. Even standing in front of you gives me a huge pressure. Right now, no one dares to offend her. Even the elders only turn a blind eye and close one eye. Even if they were killing someone in the task palace, they would not be able to see it. This oceanic horses definitely have quite the background. Just as the people around her were discussing, the woman received the identity token from the window. She turned her gaze and swept the crowd with her ice-cold gaze. The surroundings instantly quieted down. The senior brother outside the window reminded him, the mission to snatch the heavenly court is too dangerous. You have to be careful about this mission. Long Fei trembled slightly. She wants to go to the Heaven Fairyland too? The tall girl did not turn back as she walked out of Task Palace. Long Fei also caught up quickly. To go to the Heaven Fairyland, one had to use a teleportation circle. And to use a teleportation circle, one had to obtain a teleportation gate. This kind of order badge could either be obtained from an elder or be bought from a black market. Thus, you want a car. Junior sister, please wait. Long Fei chased after the tall woman and said, you are going to the Heaven Fairyland. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the pride and damp, cool woman did not even look at Long Fei and directly said coldly, scram. Long Fei said, Junior sister, no matter what, I'm still your senior brother. It's impolite for you to speak like that. Pride and amp, cool woman squinted. The surrounding people immediately began to mock him. That brat is going to be unlucky. Ha ha. He actually dares to block Ocean Horse's way? Is he tired of living? Let's wait and see a good show. Long Fei said, you go to the Heaven Fairyland, and I'm also going to the Heaven Fairyland. It's along the way for us. Do you think it's possible for me to go with you? Pride and amp, cool woman still did not look at Long Fei, and it was even just a simple sentence. Say it a second time, scram. Long Fei said, it's not good for girls to be so intrepid. There will be more people who will like them if they are gentle. There was a trace of teasing in his voice. In this half a month, there had been tens of people like Long Fei who did not know life from death, teasing her. But every one of them were either crippled or still lying on their beds without being able to get up. When the surrounding people heard Long Fei's words, they all broke out into a cold sweat for him. They were all waiting for the scene of Long Fei lying on the ground and screaming in pain. Pride and amp, cool woman's eyes suddenly opened. Schwa. His figure disappeared. He charged straight at Long Fei. Long Fei's pupil shrank as he moved his walk like snakeskin. Buzz. He dodged the attack, but at the same time, pride and amp, cool woman's braids suddenly swept out. Boom. Sounds of something tearing through the air came one after another. Long Fei's body flew backwards, and he walked at a slanted angle. When the braids were thrown over, Long Fei's right hand suddenly grabbed them and directly grabbed onto the braids. What a good braid. It's not good to use it to hit people. He slightly pulled. Pride and amp, cool woman staggers step. Flames burned in his eyes as he grabbed his braid with one hand and whipped it violently with the other. Schwa. and pulled it out from Long Fei's palm. The surface of his palm was burning with pain. The moment his aura surged out, an ear-piercing buzzing sound rang out in the air. Her tall and cold figure instantly landed behind Long Fei, rolled up her braids, and directly grabbed Long Fei by the neck, and coldly said, "It's not used to hit people, but to kill people." The braids suddenly retracted. Long Fei's neck felt like it was on fire. Every strand of hair was like a needle, piercing into Long Fei's skin. This hair, Long Fei was secretly shocked. Every hair seemed to have a life of its own. Was this braid his gift? Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "I just want to leave with you. That's all. You want my life? Besides, I don't think big plates are suitable for you. Let me give you a haircut." Long Fei's heart skipped a beat. Level 2 Ancient Dragon Body, open. Buzz. With a sudden surge of energy in his body, the aura on Long Fei's body changed drastically. He grabbed the braid with one hand and threw Pride and Amp, Cool Woman, to the ground. His palm was like a blade, slashing down fiercely. Slash! The long braid had been cut in half from the waist. Voila! Voila! The surroundings went into an uproar. They were all dumbstruck as they looked at Long Fei with their mouths agape. It was too shocking. At the same time, their hearts were saying, "He's dead, he's dead, he's dead." The braid was her life. But now, it had been cut in half by someone, and it was a waist chop with more than half cut. Could Long Fei still live? The braid had been cut off. Stood up. Her long hair was scattered, falling down her back and ears like a waterfall. From the looks of it, the surrounding people were dumbfounded once again. This, so beautiful. Why is she so beautiful? It's not cold at all. It looks a little cute. A single hairstyle has changed everything. Wow, I feel like I'm in love. All of them were unable to control themselves. The braid had been cut off and scattered, coupled with her furious eyes, which were incredibly large. Her hair covered some of her face. She was a bit cute, a type of gentleness. Long Fei was also startled. Look at how beautiful she is now. Looking at the half of the braid on the ground, Long Fei wanted to pick it up, but just when he was about to pick it up, the black hair on the ground suddenly disappeared. It was very strange. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman, stared at Long Fei, his eyes blazing as though he wanted to eat Long Fei whole. However, she did not continue to attack Long Fei, but turned around and was about to leave. And it just like that, even with his hair cut off, he still didn't have a temper. This made the surrounding people a little confused. This didn't seem like her personality. Long Fei smiled and wanted to follow along. At this moment, a disciple walked out and said, "You can't leave." Long Fei was startled for a moment and said, "Why can't I leave?" The disciple said, "The elder invites you over." Long Fei asked, "That elder?" That disciple said somewhat impatiently, "If I'm telling you to go over, then go over. Why are you saying so much rubbish?" Her eyes were filled with disdain. Moreover, the aura on his body was not ordinary. It was not that type of master swordsman rank, but that kind of stronger aura. Immortal swordsman rank. There were no sword immortal stage disciples in the entire outer sect. Thus, the disciple in front of him wasn't an outer court disciple, but an inner court disciple. His eyes looked down, scornful of everything around him. When she spoke to Long Fei, she only looked at him empty-handed. Long Fei laughed. "You want me to go over? Tell him to kneel down. You're courting death." The disciple's gaze turned sinister. His voice was filled with killing intent, and his aura also instantly burst forth, the pressure of the immortal swordsman rank directly causing the surrounding outer sect disciples to retreat. He was forced to retreat. All of them had pale faces and were out of breath. At the same time, the clothes he was wearing also fell off, revealing his inner disciple's clothes. When everyone saw this, they immediately panicked. It's an inner sect senior brother. South Inner Court senior brother. Long Fei thought in his heart. As expected. Horcrux's gate? Could it be? Long Fei's eyes suddenly contracted, and at this moment, the aura of his body flipped as he shouted, "Rumble!" He thought of someone. In the cave of the Firebowl, he had beaten himself into a man who was seriously injured. Dong Tiankuei? In an instant, the anger on Long Fei's body started to burn. The power of the dragon's body surged. The inner disciple's face suddenly sank. His pressure had been completely crushed. Not only that, a dragon had suddenly appeared in his mind. It was extremely uncomfortable. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead. His mind was trembling as he stared at Long Fei. "Brat, you actually dare to retaliate? I'll take your dog life." He could not compete with Long Fei in terms of pressure, so he instantly took out his weapon and thrusted it at Long Fei. Long Fei's expression tightened and said, "We don't even know who wants their life." Long Fei retaliated. At this moment, a thick body came from afar. "Stop." The corners of the inner court disciple's eyes trembled, and he immediately stopped, not daring to make a move again. However, Long Fei did not care about all this and threw a punch out. Bam! The inner disciple was sent flying 3 feet away. His abdomen was in pain and his face was pale. He got up from the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Both of his eyes stared straight at Long Fei. "Ah!" Dong Tiankui called out again, "Stop." The disciple gritted his teeth and pointed at Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the distant Dong Tiankui and his gaze sank. Could it be that Fong Wanpeng is dead? If that time wasn't for Fong Wanpeng, Long Fei would have already died. The fury in Long Fei's heart rose once again. Staring at Dong Tiankui, he walked forward step by step and said, "He's actually not dead yet." As soon as he finished, the surrounding people were all shocked. How dare he speak to the Horcrux's Gate Hill Lord in such a manner? He was tired of living. Even the expression on the Pride and Damp Cool Woman's face slightly changed as he quickly walked towards Long Fei. Seeing Long Fei walking towards him, the 2 white-haired old men beside Dong Tiankui moved slightly and took a step forward. Powerhouse of the King Swordsman realm. Their auras were exceptionally strong. Protect Dong Tiankui and create a safe zone. At the same time, the strong might of the King Swordsman rank continued to crush Long Fei. Every step Long Fei took was extremely difficult, but he did not stop. He was now 15 meters away from Dong Tiankui, from 30 meters to 10 meters to 5 meters. At a distance of 5 meters, Long Fei was no longer able to move forward. Right now, it was as if he was standing under a waterfall and couldn't even take half a step forward. However, Long Fei never submitted. If he couldn't get through, then he would kill his way through. His eyes turned cold and murderous. However, just as he was about to make his move, a slightly chilly hand suddenly grabbed his arm. Long Fei turned to look. "Hi." She gently shook her head, signaling for Long Fei not to make a move. Dong Tiankui laughed coldly and said, "What is it? Do you still want to make a move on me? You attacked me inside the Firebowl Cave, and now you still want to kill me?" As soon as he finished, an uproar broke out. A few outer door presbyteresses were so scared that their faces turned pale and their legs trembled. You want to kill the Horcrux's Gate sect leader? This was a heinous crime. Even if all the elders of the outer sect were to add up, they wouldn't be able to carry it all. Long Fei also sneered and said, "What? You want to snatch my fire essence?" Dong Tiankui's pupils constricted rapidly as he stared straight at Long Fei. From his sleeves, he clenched his fists tightly, and killing intent burst out from his body. The 2 King Swordsman powerhouses beside him were also stunned. It stopped for a moment. The killing intent on Dong Tiankui disappeared as he laughed. "Do you know where we are? Ancient antiquity. Do you know who I am? The sect leader of the Horcrux's Gate. Do you think you can beat me?" Dong Tiankui laughed proudly. This was his territory, a mere outer sect disciple. He could kill him however he wanted. Since he found Long Fei, he was no longer in a hurry, because no matter how much Long Fei jumped, he could not jump onto the palm of his hand. It was just that he did not understand Long Fei. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Do you know the oath I made when I first left the Firebowl Cave? The next time we meet, I want your dog life." "I'll take your dog life. I'll take your dog life." Long Fei emphasized these 4 words. The killing intent from his body also burst out instantly, heading straight for Dong Tiankui. Bang, bang. The pressure that was being emitted from Long Fei's body was directly pushed away by the 2 old men from King Swordsman rank. At this time, A outer door presbyter walked out anxiously. His eyes stared straight at Long Fei and shouted, "Impudent! You are just an outer disciple, yet you dare to be so disrespectful to the Horcrux's Gates sect leader. What do you want to do? Do you want to go to heaven? Leave immediately." After outer door presbyter finished speaking, he bowed and apologized to Dong Tiankui. "I am very sorry. I was negligent in teaching you. Please forgive me, Mountain Peak Lord Dong, one of the 7 peaks, the highest authority in the Horcrux's Gate. How could a mere outer court disciple offend him? He could not let Long Fei destroy the outer sect. Otherwise, Long Fei's death would be a small matter, and the outer sect would suffer for their lives." The corner of Dong Tiankui's mouth curled up, and he did not even look at outer door presbyter, but sneered at Long Fei. "Did you see that? You want my life? Even if I stand here for you to kill, you won't be able to. This is my territory. Do you understand?" Dong Tiankui started laughing complacently after he finished speaking. "Ha." Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and shouted out in his heart, "I still can't kill you." Just as he was about to release the power of the ancient dragon body, the aloof woman grabbed his arm again and lightly shook her head. Long Fei became angry and said, "Let go of me." Pride and amp. Cool woman said, "Didn't you want to go on a mission with me? Come, I'll take you with me." Suddenly, Long Fei didn't know why she would stop him. Not only did she stop him, the way she looked at Long Fei had completely changed. It was no longer that cold and aloof look she had, but a different kind of look. Very strange. Outer door presbyter also said solemnly, "Brat, what are you trying to do? If you kneel down and beg Mountain Peak Lord Dong for forgiveness now, you will be in a hurry. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences." Long Fei did the same and didn't even look at outer door presbyter once. Dong Tiankui laughed coldly. "Long Fei, you have 2 choices now, or you could just obediently listen to what I say. I will bring you into the inner sect and let you get whatever you want in ancient antiquity. Then it's over. I will make it hard for you to take even a single step in ancient antiquity." What he wanted was the highest grade fire soul. As long as Long Fei followed him back to the inner sect, he could do whatever he wanted a Long Fei to do. Outer door presbyter's gaze tightened and his heart secretly shook. He immediately said to Long Fei, "Did you hear that? Hurry up and thank Mountain Peak Lord Dong." The surrounding crowd also burst into an uproar. Everyone thought that Long Fei would die. To offend an inner sect peak owner, yet he still didn't die. He never thought that Dong Tiankui would actually bring Long Fei into the inner sect. Even the outer door presbyter did not expect such a 180-degree turn. The way he spoke to Long Fei had even changed. Once one entered the inner sect, it would be a completely different story. It really would be heaven. Long Fei laughed. "What I want, I will take from you. What need for your charity? You want me to find it difficult to move an inch? You want me to live a life worse than death? Then let's give it a try." It was impossible to submit. It was impossible for him to submit in this life. He only wanted to kill Dong Tiankui now. Outer door presbyter's gaze tightened and said angrily, "Brat, what are you trying to say? Are you crazy? So noisy." Dong Tiankui was slightly angered. Beside him, a white-haired old man glared at him. Buzz! An imposing aura was released, causing outer door presbyter's eyes to pop out. He immediately knelt on the ground. His knees split apart, and fresh blood spewed out from his face. He would be crushed to death. There wasn't even time to react. A outer door presbyter died, just like that. The surrounding disciples paled from fright, and all of them retreated a few steps. No one dared to seek justice for the outer door presbyter, because he was an inner sect peak owner. Their authority in the outer sect was as great as that of the heavens. Who would dare to offend him? Moreover, at this time, not a single word came out of their mouths. Many of the elders' faces were deathly pale, and their legs were trembling. They simply didn't dare to step out. "Comfortable." Dong Tiankui laughed. "Now it's quiet." Long Fei's heart trembled. He didn't expect that with just a single sentence from Dong Tiankui, the King Swordsman powerhouse beside him would already be able to shake an outer door presbyter to death. It was a miserable death. This is the powerhouse? This was the person with the most power? This was the world as Powerhouse was king. It didn't matter who you were. If you were displeased, you would be killed immediately. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. Dong Tiankui looked at Long Fei's nervous expression and laughed. Consider it again. Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Dong Tiankui said, I know that you want to enter the inner sect. I know that your brothers have been framed and heavily injured. I can help you take revenge. I can help you deal with your enemy. I can help you do whatever you want. Even if you don't need to participate in any tests, I can take you into the inner court and become an inner court disciple. As long as you kneel in front of me right now, obediently listen. I promise you that you will be glorious in the future. If the peak owner was the backer, then it would be exactly as he said. However, Dong Tiankui was someone on Long Fei's killing list. There was no room for maneuver. Moreover, kneel down, be obedient. Just these few words alone, Long Fei wanted to kill him. Long Fei took a small step forward with his eyes narrowed and said, I've said it before. I'll go get what I want myself. It's the same when I enter the inner sect. He doesn't only have the qualifications to be an inner court disciple. Also, your dog head. The two old men from King's swordsman rank stared. Boom, boom. Two auras were released. Dong Tiankui squinted and said indifferently, Stop. The old man was startled. An outer disciple was so arrogant and had asked for the head of the peak owner many times. How could he tolerate that? In the past, Dong Tiankui would have already gone berserk, and now he told them to stop. The corner of Dong Tiankui's mouth curled up as he stared at Long Fei and sneered. You're still thinking of killing me? Ha ha! You think you can kill me? If you kill me, do you think you'll be able to leave this place alive? Your brother, that servant of yours, will be able to live and enter the inner court? Ha ha! Dong Tiankui laughed complacently. You can choose the first choice at any time. You can kneel in front of me at any time. But before that, you should have a good taste of what it means to be unable to move an inch and what it means to want to die and enter the inner court. With just you? You just wait and see. Ha! Dong Tiankui began to laugh loudly. He shot a cold glance at Long Fei, and killing intent seeped out of his eyes as he thought to himself, Kid, if it wasn't for me not knowing where the highest grade fire soul on your body was, you would have died long ago. After Dong Tiankui finished speaking, he did not stay any longer and turn around to leave. After Dong Tiankui finished speaking, he did not stay any longer and turn around to leave. Long Fei still wanted to make a move. However, among Dong Tiankui's words, he thought of Bailey Tianhai, Zhao Dehan, and the others. If he did, if it was a level 4 ancient dragon body, killing Dong Tiankui shouldn't be a problem. But what about the consequences? He would be chased by the ancient antiquity. It didn't matter to him if he was alone, but he couldn't cut off his brother's future. Endure it, Long Fei thought to himself. If this wasn't a public place, you would already be a dead man. Watching Dong Tiankui leave, Long Fei felt extremely unhappy in his heart. The pride and amp, cool woman beside him also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It was fortunate that Long Fei did not make a move. Long Fei looked at the high and cold girl. She withdrew her hand, and her expression became ice cold. Didn't you just say that you wanted to go out on a mission together? I'll take you. The attitude is a complete change. One had to know that Long Fei had just cut off her hair. To a girl, her hair was a very important thing. If her hair was cut off, how could she still treat Long Fei well? This brain of his was a little different from the norm. Long Fei didn't think too much and said, all right. There wasn't much time left, so he had to hurry. Just as they turned to leave, a voice came from inside the task palace. Let me know. For the 3 god-level missions, task reward points will become 200, and the special reward will be canceled. For the 3 god-level missions, task reward points will become 200, and the special reward will be canceled. One of the 3 god-level missions. A series of broadcasts. Can it still change my task reward? Stealing the heavenly court is too difficult. Shouldn't I increase the rewards? Reduce the reward? No one can complete this mission, and the reward is reduced? Who has that kind of power? The only ones who can change their task reward are the Great Elder and Sect Master, and the 6th Great Peak Owner. Many people around them began whispering to each other. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. The pride and amp. Cool Woman was a little angry and said, "Why did you change the reward?" This is too. Long Fei said solemnly. Dong Tianke. Only him. He knows that I need task credit to participate in the inner sect examination. Dong Tianke. You sure are King ruthless. Long Fei clenched his teeth, feeling extremely unwell. It desperately needed task credit. If he completed the mission to seize the Heavenly Court, he would have 900 points, which would be just enough for the 3 of them to take the exam. Now, his task credit had suddenly become 200, which was not even enough for him to register for the competition. This move from Dong Tianque made it hard for Long Fei to move a single step. So what if the mission was completed? He didn't even have the qualifications to take the inner sect examination. Looking at Long Fei's angry expression, pride and amp, Cool Woman asked, "How much task credit do you still have left?" Long Fei laughed bitterly and said, 900 points. Pride and amp. Cool Woman was taken aback. So many? Then this mission, it's just like he said, going against the inner sect peak owner. It's hard to even take a single step. Why don't you give in to him? Long Fei shook his head. You think that just because I gave in, he will let me go? I have what he wants, and it's because of this thing that he didn't touch me. If this thing wasn't in my hands, he would have already done so. And in my entire life, I, Long Fei, have never submitted. You want to stop me? He is not yet qualified. Long Fei said heavily, the task reward of the Heaven Seizing Court has indeed decreased, but the mission of the Heaven Punisher formation did not happen. Just the points accumulated for the last stage of the 3 great missions alone is a total of 1,500 points. Originally, Long Fei just wanted to complete the mission of seizing the heaven. From the looks of it, he had to complete the 2 god missions. Heaven Punisher, the hardest of the 3 tests. Long Fei didn't have a choice now. Pride and amp. Cool Woman looked at Long Fei with a stunned expression. She did not expect that Long Fei would actually think of completing 2 divine missions within 3 days. Long Fei looked at her and said, "You are in charge of sending me to the secret world. As for the other things, I will think of a way on my own. You do not have to participate." Pride and amp, Cool Woman said, "Since I'm bringing you along, then I should also be participating." Long Fei looked at her and said, "You should have enough points, right?" Pride and amp, Cool Woman asked, "Why would you think that there are too many points? Let's go." The 2 of them stepped into the teleportation circle. With a flash of white light, they disappeared. After pausing for a few seconds, the 2 of them appeared in the teleportation circle outside the Nantian city. In another place. What did you just say? Long Fei, that dog survived? Didn't you say that you have turned into a vegetable? Lin Yuan was furious. He did not expect Long Fei to wake up and said heavily, those killers were really trash. He still thought that the reason why Long Fei turned into a vegetable was because he was sent out to kill him. He did not know that his killer was instantly killed by Long Fei before he could hold on for even a second. Zhong Qi said, "Senior brother, do you want me to send more people to intercept them? The Heaven Fairyland is extremely difficult. I have tried it a few times, but did not have the chance to complete the mission. Even if he does not die, he would be heavily injured, and then, just like last time, you can easily take his life." Zhong Qi was very confident. Moreover, besides the fierce person at the top of the outer court, he really didn't place anyone in his eyes. Long Fei was the same. Lin Yuan rolled his eyes and said, "Since it's like you said, then you don't have to go. Just send a few people to guard it. You have to prepare for the assessment." Lin Yuan had other arrangements for Zhong Qi. Zhong Qi nodded his head. "Understood. I will arrange it now." Lin Yuan waved his hand and said, "Go." After Zhong Qi left, God Sword Child walked out with the same displeased expression. "Didn't you say that Brat would never wake up?" Lin Yuan said, "So what if I wake up? Do you think he will make it into the inner sect alive?" "Don't worry. The person that I, Lin Yuan, am going to deal with, no matter who he is, will not live." let alone a trash blood vein like him who wants to fight me. In your dreams, Lin Yuan was very confident. He wouldn't let Long Fei have any chance. The corners of God's sword child's mouth curled up as he smiled lightly. Then I'll wait for your good news. At the entrance of the South Heaven Gate. One more step, and it would be Heaven Fairyland. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman took a brief break and prepared all the spare items. Long Fei looked at her serious expression and could not help but ask, I cut off your hair. Aren't you angry? Pride and Amp. Cool Woman did not look at Long Fei and said, Angry. Long Fei said, Then why are you still so concerned about me? You're still holding me back when I was facing Dong Tiankue? Are you in love with me? That's not right. I cut off your hair, so you should hate me. Don't tell me you have a tendency to abuse me. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman glared fiercely at Long Fei and said, You're the one who is being masochistic. I just don't want to see you throw your life away. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, Do you really think that I will die at that time? Pride and Amp. Cool Woman looked at Long Fei. Although he did not say it, he muttered in his heart, No way. He stepped into the Heaven Fairyland. Long Fei was stunned by the scene in front of him. Zombie. Damn. When Pride and Amp. Cool Woman walked in. His expression changed slightly. Looking at the corpse mountain not far away, he saw that every corpse was moving and struggling, as if they were not dead. What is the zombie? Long Fei looked at the enormous scarlet red eye at the peak of the corpse mountain and said, It's a living corpse. Stealing the heavens. He should be trying to take that eye off, right? Long Fei quickly analyzed. If it's just these living dead, then this mission won't be difficult, but Long Fei looked around. He didn't think it was that simple. Ancient antiquity knew very little about the heavenly court. During this period of time, he did not have any effective strategy. He only said that it was filled with danger. What was the danger? I don't know. He did not state the criteria for completing the mission. However, it had to be related to that scarlet red eye. Immediately, Long Fei said, You wait here first. I'll go down to check. If anything goes wrong, you can run away by yourself. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman said, I know. I definitely won't care about you. Long Fei laughed. What a straightforward answer. All right, I'll go take a look first. Long Fei walked down the stairs. In an instant, sensing Long Fei's presence, the scarlet red eyes stared angrily, and the scarlet red flames in their pupils seemed to have ignited. At this moment, the zombie suddenly went into an uproar, all of them turning to look at Long Fei. Woo-woo. Wow. Roar. In that moment, this group of zombies felt as if they had smelled fresh blood and became completely excited, charging madly towards Long Fei without regard for their lives. Zombie tide. It came like a huge wave. It was exactly the same as the scene in the movie, and it was even more powerful inside. Every single zombie was not like the normal zombie. They were all zombies that had gone through the martial arts training before. The aura on his body was extremely oppressive. It brought with it an incomparably dense and ruthless aura. Long Fei looked at the huge eyes and muttered, You can control these zombies. It seems like it's you. All right. Long Fei's mind sank. He did not waste any more time. And with a thought, he ordered 3-rate dragon body. Open. Boom. The aura that was released jolted. His body rumbled. A dragon's roar burst forth, and the energy and flames coiled around Long Fei's body like a huge dragon. Long Fei's body sank slightly as he leaned forward. He raised his eyes. Bam! He exerted force through his legs, and his entire body was like a heavy tank charging forward at a lightning speed. The moment he rushed out, the ground began to tremble. Space itself exploded. He charged forward with an invincible strength. Bam! Bam! Bang, 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 bang. The moment those zombies touched the aura on Long Fei's body, they immediately flew into the air, completely unable to withstand the crushing pressure of the dragon's body on Long Fei's body. Zombie flew into the sky. No one could stop him. When a zombie approached, they were immediately crushed by the power of Long Fei's body and were sent flying. How could this low-level zombie possibly stop the power of the three-rate ancient dragon body? At the same time, the notification sound in Long Fei's mind exploded crazily. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing zombie. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing zombie. As the system beep went berserk, Long Fei couldn't help but exclaim, if my experience leveling up, then I should at least level up a few levels in this wave. Haha! Couldn't help but to reminisce the time when his previous experience points had leveled up. Come, all of you must die. Haha! Long Fei laughed madly as the number of zombie that surrounded him increased until they looked like a thick wall of corpses. In the distance, Pride and Amp, Cool Woman looked at Long Fei indifferently and muttered to himself, I knew he was special. His strength was actually able to cut off my hair. She subconsciously touched her long hair, but it was all for nothing. This was because half of her hair had already been cut off. There was no resentment in her eyes, because the length of her hair was the same for her. Seeing the power on Long Fei's body break out, she mysteriously laughed for a bit. Hee. Boom! The huge crimson red eye was enraged, and it swept the red light with its huge eyes. Oh, red light flashed in the eyes of these zombies, and their auras also changed in an instant. They became stronger, and they no longer cared about their lives. Long Fei trembled and said, it can even instantly level up. It seems like this guy is not even half as strong. A divine treasure. When the zombie became excited, Long Fei also became excited. To be able to make all these zombie level up with just a glance, it definitely showed that this thing was very powerful. It's mine. Long Fei's three-rate dragon body's aura did not weaken in the slightest. To him, three-rate dragon body was no longer a problem. If he could hold on for a long time, dealing with these zombies was not a problem. Training in his consciousness. His 5 revolutions body was no longer an ordinary body. If it was an ordinary body, at Long Fei's level, he really wouldn't be able to support the three-rate dragon body. The power of the three-rate dragon body could completely crush zombie, and even these zombies' level increase were useless, just that they could not stop Long Fei. Long Fei acted as if there was no one around. The giant red eye began to panic, its pupils blinking nonstop. Suddenly, rumble, rumble, rumble. With the pressure in the sky, the gravitational system suddenly changed as Long Fei's body sank. Thunder clouds covered the sky. A thick voice resounded, puny human. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck down from the thick thunderclouds. The moment the lightning struck the ground, the zombie was instantly reduced to smithereens. Is this the rhythm of a sky lightning zombie? The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up, and he looked towards the sky. Puny human? Then let's see who is more humble. Rise! With a shake of his right foot, Long Fei shot straight into the clouds. Rumble! Rumble! The sound of thunder exploded. The instant Long Fei rushed into the sky, thunder and lightning raged, and the sounds coming from the clouds also exploded. Annihilating lightning field boom. Walala. Crack, crack, crack. As the lightning heavily struck down, Long Fei's eyes darkened, and he laughed coldly. Is it just lightning of this level? It's not even enough to tickle Lousy. He didn't dodge at all. His current physical body was at the 5th circulation. With the addition of the 3-rate dragon body, if he could not even withstand this kind of lightning, then his 1 month of training would have been in vain. Boom! Boom! Bolts of lightning landed on his body, but did not cause him any damage at all. Each lightning strike was an MIS. This feeling, it was as if he was a boss. It didn't matter how many bolts of lightning it was. Even Long Fei's defense couldn't be broken. Whoosh! Boom! Long Fei immediately charged into the clouds. Sweeping across with his golden dragon eyes, he attracted the attention of an elder dressed in plain clothes. His body flickered and instantly appeared in front of the old man. His hand gripped the old man's throat as he coldly laughed. Who was more despicable now? He pinched the old man's throat with his 2 fingers and said with a look of contempt, Who is more humble? He pinched the old man's throat with his 2 fingers and said with a look of contempt, "Who is more humble?" The old man was also a zombie. It was just that his level was relatively high and he had a magic tool in his hand. Moreover, he has a certain amount of intelligence and is able to speak. When she saw Long Fei suddenly rush towards her, she was instantly grabbed by the throat. Was her life hanging by a thread? The old man laughed, his eyes revealing an expression of Long Fei not knowing his place, and said, "Humans are the lowliest existences. You think you can kill me? You think you've won now? Ha ha! Lowly human. You don't even know where this place is. You don't even know who you're going to fight against? Ha!" The old man laughed maniacally, his laughter making people shiver. Long Fei was extremely unhappy. "Fuck!" With an angry roar, his 2 fingers pinched the old man's throat, and with a slight movement of the dragon's body, he let out a pong. The old man's body turned into powder. Long Fei said, "Can't kill? There is no one that I can't kill. No matter if you are a zombie or some other kind of corpse, being crushed into dust means at least death, right?" However, what made Long Fei a little surprised was the system did not sound out a notification. This meant that the old man was still alive. Damn! Long Fei was slightly shocked. At this moment, on the other side of the cloud layer, the elder laughed sinisterly. "I've said it before, you can't kill me." Ha ha ha! It was perfectly fine. He didn't receive any damage at all. Long Fei stared at him and said, "This wave of manipulation is not bad." But, bam! His body burst forth and instantly appeared in front of the old man. Superpower boxing. Bam! The old man's head exploded with a single punch. The old man's body fell from the clouds in an instant. Under such circumstances, he should have been killed instantly, but the system beep still did not ring. What the F ***K? Endless revival. Long Fei was puzzled. In the clouds, the old man appeared again. A lowly human wants to kill me? Ha ha ha. I can only say that you are very lowly. F ***CK. Long Fei was very unhappy. So arrogant. The old man laughed disdainfully. So what if a lowly human like you has some power? You want to kill me? Ha ha ha. The only thing that can be said is that I should dream on. And you think you can live now? Ha ha. Look at where you are now. The old man laughed excitedly. Long Fei looked at the place where he was floating, at the center of a hexagram. Huh. Long Fei said, "Formation?" The old man laughed. "That's right. It's really a formation, an undead array. Do you think you can crush my body? Every time? Every time I move, I set up a formation. Otherwise, do you think you can kill me?" The old man was very arrogant. Long Fei muttered, "Your body? Seems like you have a lot of physical body. And is there something inside your body every time you die? The magic tool in your hand. There is no such thing as absolute immortality in this world. Even gods would die. The reason why they couldn't kill him was because the method was incorrect." The old man was too arrogant. He arrogantly said a few key words, allowing Long Fei to find out what his problem was. The old man's gaze tensed up, and he laughed coldly. So what if I know this? You think you can move now? Bring it on. Undead Emperor, show yourself. Roar. The old man's eyes opened wide as he channeled all of his power into the magic tool. As the magic tool swung, rays of light of death shot out from the hexagram and directly enveloped Long Fei. The old man laughed. "You are the first one to let me activate the undead formation. You should feel honored to die here. More than 10 days ago, there were 2 brats that entered the clouds. It was just that. They thought they were smart enough to fly above the clouds, but they didn't know that this was the most dangerous place." Ha! Long Fei's pupils contracted as he asked, "One of them is a big guy, and the other one is very skinny?" The elder replied, "Yes." "Damn it, you're the one who hurt them like that?" Long Fei was raging in his heart. The old man laughed and said, "They were lucky enough to be able to roll and crawl out. As for you, I'm going to die here. Ha ha, Lord Beholder that controls life and death, please bestow me power." Buzz. The scarlet red giant I moved and light enveloped the old man's body. In an instant, the elder's aura suddenly changed as the magical artifact in his hand flashed with scarlet light. The elder's eyes also turned blood red as he smiled sinisterly and said, "Come, Lord Death God, come out." Boom! In the center of the hexagram, the light of death constantly radiated outwards. Suddenly, a scythe of death rose first from the hexagram, followed by a death god whose entire body was wreathed in the flames of death. From their vantage point, the two black pupils stared at Long Fei. The sickle in their hands suddenly swung towards Long Fei's head. "Death? I would like to see what ability you have." Long Fei's forehead turned sinister. The six-pointed star carried a kind of boundary power as it bound him to the six-pointed star. Long Fei did not want to break boundary. He just wanted to see what kind of power this so-called death god had. He raised his eyes and stared at the death scythe that was coming down. A sharp light flashed in his eyes as he shouted, "Come!" Boom! The dragon's roar shook. The light that exploded out of Long Fei's eyes immediately shook the Grim Reaper, and the sickle in his hand trembled slightly. It was directly crooked. The old man was stunned. What's going on?" Long Fei glared at him. "You think you're a god of death? More or less like a dead ghost." As soon as he finished, Long Fei flew to the head of Death God and punched down. Bang! The Reaper's eyes burned with black flames as he used his sickle to block, not daring to retaliate at all. Long Fei didn't care about all that. Punches and punches violently struck down. Death was not going to give him any chance to take a breather. Bang, bang, bang. His body slowly sank into the hexagram. "Scram back where you came from." Long Fei's fist struck the Death God's head. In the end, the Death God threw away the Death Scythe and ran away, trying to hide away. He was completely unable to endure Long Fei's fist attack. His body completely submerged into the hexagram, and in the end he stretched out his hand and touched the Death Scythe. He quickly slipped away. The old man could not accept this series of images. I summoned a fake death god." Bam! Long Fei stood in front of the old man. This time, he did not pinch the old man's throat, but instead directly pinched the magical equipment that was emitting a scarlet glow in his hand. The old man's eyes narrowed. "No." Bam! After the magic tool was broken, Long Fei coldly said, "Follow Death God." The old man's pupils rapidly shrank as his magic tool shattered. The old man's pupils rapidly shrank as his magic tool shattered. His body split open without waiting for Long Fei to attack, and he screamed out in pain, "Master, save me." Bam! His entire body turned into powder. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Thunder God. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Thunder Beast artifact. The magic tool in the old man's hand exploded. However, a magic tool of this level was no longer of any use to Long Fei. With the old man's death, all the thunderclouds in the surroundings dispersed. Long Fei looked at the distant scarlet-red gigantic eyes. The scarlet-red giant eye was also staring at him. Moreover, its eyes emitted a red light. The red light was like a searchlight as it swept over. Walala! 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 The place where the red light swept past was covered in ashes, and those zombie-s were instantly turned into fine powder. It was too valiant. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman shouted loudly. "Be careful! Eye of Destruction! Eye of Destruction!" This was the name of the giant red eye. It could bewitch people's hearts, could also turn corpses into zombies, and could give these zombie power. However, these were not its true strength. Its true strength was its destruction. The zombie was unable to stop Long Fei, and the Thunder Shakyamuni was also dead. This made the Eye of Destruction very angry and released the power of destructive light. Long Fei saw that the zombie on the ground didn't have time to react at all before turning into powder, and his brows tightened. The Annihilation Light's firing speed was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it was about to land on him. Long Fei did not dodge. Instead, he stretched out a hand to probe. Three-rate dragon body. Rumble. The instant his arm touched the light of destruction, White smoke came out his arm, and his skin immediately became black. F***CK. Long Fei's pupils constricted, and his body shot out in an instant. He quickly jumped away. Can't even block the three-rate dragon body? The heck? Isn't that a little too cruel? The power of the three-rate dragon body was extremely strong, but when it came into contact with the light of destruction, it was unable to resist. Although he did not turn into smithereens like Zombie, just this slight damage was enough to prove everything. Very strong. Its destructive power was extremely sharp. This made Long Fei exceptionally excited. I have to. Long Fei stared intently at the Eye of Destruction, grinned, and said, Eye of Destruction, right? Hee. You are lousies. Bam. Rank 4 dragon body, open. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Explosions resounded inside Long Fei's body, and the dragon cry wreaked havoc. The dragon phantom on his body seemed to have become more corporeal. Moreover, his body was covered with the light of the Dragon Emperor. Streams of immense energy were released from his body. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. Bang, bang, bang. The space around the fist was exploding. At this moment, Long Fei's entire body was enveloped by a ball of golden light. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman was startled. What kind of power is this? This power, she frowned and murmured to herself after a few seconds of silence. This is not a power that the mortal world can possess. Could it be? She looked at Long Fei with narrowed eyes, a reincarnated powerhouse of the divine space. He was slightly startled. However, her expression wasn't that shocked. It was just that she was slightly startled. Moreover, she faintly smiled and said, I just don't know what ancient clan it is. Look at the gigantic dragon phantom on his body. Could it be the dragon race? If it's the dragon clan. She narrowed her eyes slightly and stopped talking. The smile on her face instantly disappeared. The dragon form of the 4th rank was activated. The aura on Long Fei's body was completely different, as though a golden immortal had descended into the world. This daddy's time is limited. I'm not talking to you anymore. Boom! In the blink of an eye, he had already landed on the mountain peak, right in front of the Eye of Destruction. The gigantic crimson-red pupils suddenly contracted as it stared at Long Fei. Immediately, the light of destruction also enveloped Long Fei's body. Long Fei did not move and said, Merely one eye. Do you want to overturn the heavens? There were no injuries on Long Fei's body. Not at all. Moreover, the destructive light shone on his body, but it could not even harm the golden light that radiated from his body. This was the difference between a 3-rate dragon body and a rank 4 dragon's body. The Eye of Destruction panicked inwardly. Long Fei laughed coldly and said, You're the one who should be more honest. Or should I do it? If I were to do it, your eyeballs would probably pop out. The Eye of Destruction glared angrily. The destructive light was like a laser. The powerful energy was so strong that even if one followed it for 100,000 kilometers, they would still be able to see the strength stripes clearly. Damn, you're looking for a beating, right? Long Fei rubbed the bridge of his nose. Then I'll break your eyeballs. Bam! With a leap, he directly charged into the group of Eye of Destruction. Buzz! The Eye of Destruction was incomparably huge, and Long Fei was like an ant standing in front of it. After rushing into the Eye of Destruction, it was as if Long Fei had rushed into a gigantic secret world. Destruction was everywhere. Although Long Fei had the protection of the power of a rank 4 dragon, he could still feel the powerful destructive aura around him. Any one of these auras could cause someone's death. I was wondering, who could pass such a mission? That person who is sick from eating too much will post such a mission? This is just sending people to their deaths. Long Fei couldn't understand. If not for him, any disciple who entered this place would probably have been devoured by the destructive power. This mission was impossible to complete. The person who posted this quest was really a brainless person. Rumble, rumble. The destructive power surged and continuously surrounded Long Fei. Long Fei's right fist sank. Boom. The infinite boxing was summoned. With a clench of his fist, a rumbling sound could be heard. With an explosive sound, Long Fei's body moved, and his fist fiercely smashed down. You dare to act arrogantly with your father? Bam! Zhang Xian's eyes darkened. The Eye of Destruction wailed. The power of destruction? Let's destroy one of them and take a look. Rumble. With another punch, the Eye of Destruction began to rapidly tremble, and the entire Heaven Fairyland also began to shake rapidly. Arrogant. No matter how arrogant you are. Bang, bang, bang. Punch, punch, punch. His eyes were splitting open. The entire Heaven Fairyland was also collapsing nonstop, and the zombie were wailing in pain. The Pride and Damp. Cool Woman looked at the Eye of Destruction quietly and muttered, I never thought that even the destructive power could resist it. Is there such a genius in the dragon race? The power of a reincarnated body was not strong. If it was strong, then there was no point in it being reincarnated, but the power Long Fei unleashed was too strong. Pride and Damp. Cool Woman looked into the sky and muttered, Is this an arrangement by the dragon race? Or was it Long Wushan's arrangement? Rumble, rumble, break for me. Long Fei's right arm sank, and a dark yellow light flashed from the glove as he punched it heavily. Crack! The pupil of his eyes split open. The power of annihilation frantically spread out. The Eye of Destruction could no longer control it. Walala! Its eyes split open, and its huge eye sockets collapsed. The last part of its eye sockets cracked open, as it was completely unable to withstand Long Fei's critical strike. With the power of the level 4 dragon body coupled with the infinite boxing's critical strike, even the destructive force was unable to withstand it. Rumble! The huge eye crumbled and Long Fei slowly walked out of it. Explosions came from behind him one after another, and they were extremely intense. Long Fei did not turn back. The scene was very eye-catching. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Eye of Destruction. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Eye of Destruction. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1 thread of destruction law. The system sounded out a few times. One of them, the extreme system, actually dropped 2 items. Long Fei did not look at the Eye of Destruction. Even Eye of Destruction-s were of no use to him. Long Fei focused on the destruction law, looked at its attributes, and muttered to himself, it could actually fuse a weapon and carry a 100% destructive strike. F*CK. Isn't this a little abnormal? Destruction law. An abnormal power with a destructive strike could be channeled into one's strength, or also into one's weapon. Once it was released, that person would be instantly killed, a bit like the law of annihilation. However, the power of the destruction law gave Long Fei a feeling that it was even stronger than the law of annihilation. How technique? Is there another kind of stronger power? Is it stronger than the power of law? Long Fei muttered in his heart, this can be considered as my trump card. In the future, even if my body cannot hold the ancient dragon body, I will still have the ability to protect myself. If only I could meet Emperor Xian, I would have directly blown him to death. What a pity. Unfortunately, it was only a strand of Taoist magic. He could only use it once, or else. Long Fei sighed in his heart, feeling pity. Thinking about Emperor Xian, Long Fei couldn't help but look up to the sky. I have to rush to the divine world as soon as possible. He was still a mortal being of the ancient world, so he couldn't even come into contact with the upper divine world. This kind of the world of mortal world wouldn't even be able to meet the Emperor Xian. If he wanted to kill the Emperor Xian, he had to step into the divine space. Thus, this time he had to enter the inner sect and enter the divine space through the inner sect. Long Quang warned, Master, the competition for the God of Boundary is about to start. If you want to meet the Emperor Xian, you need to have enough capital, and only then will you have the qualifications to participate. There's still a long way to go. Long Fei said solemnly. There was still a long way to go. Right now, what Long Fei wanted to do was to walk the path in front of him and enter the inner sect. The Eye of Destruction disappeared. Zombie also instantly fell to the ground, turning into a pile of corpses. After losing the power of the Eye of Destruction, they would be crippled. Long Fei walked toward the Pride and Amp, cool woman. She also walked toward Long Fei, her eyes not filled with much shock, but rather very calm. Long Fei was a little surprised, and said, "Could it be that you weren't captivated by my handsomeness?" The Pride and Amp, cool woman smiled and said, "I didn't realize how handsome you are. Damn, why am I so defeated? I was so sharp just now that I should have mesmerized a bunch of girls." Long Fei joked. Pride and Amp, cool woman said, "You really did it. Look around. Not only are there girls, there are also a lot of men." She looked at Zombie, who had just fallen down. Long Fei laughed, feeling that the Pride and Amp, cool woman was not ordinary. If it was only an outer sect disciple, needless to say, he would definitely be shocked to the point of complete chaos. Even if he wasn't captivated by him, he would still reveal an incomparably shocked expression. Long Fei took out Eyes of Destruction and said, "I'll give you this task reward. You can go back first." Huh? Pride and Amp, cool woman looked at the Eye of Destruction in Long Fei's hand, took a glance, and said, "I don't want it." Long Fei said, "Take it, we'll go back first." Pride and Amp, cool woman said, "You want to enter the next trial?" Long Fei said, "I will accept both missions. The reward points for stealing the Heavenly Court's mission is completely useless to me. Just treat it as the fee for me riding on your teleportation formation." The mission of seizing the Heavenly Court was simply impossible for ordinary disciples. Being the last of the three gods, the task of killing the gods must be even more difficult. Long Fei did not want anyone by his side to be tied up. Pride and Amp, cool woman replied, "It's just 200 points. I don't need them." Finished. She strode towards the entrance of the Heaven Punisher. Long Fei said, "Really?" Pride and Amp, cool woman said, "No, I didn't enter here for the sake of the points, but to see if I can truly enter the divine space." Long Fei looked at her back, tall and slender, the tight clothes tightly wrapped around her body. The way she twisted and turned her, but it could only be described with one word: wow. Pride and Amp, cool woman seemed to have guessed that Long Fei was staring at her body and couldn't help but say coldly, "Have you seen enough?" "This." Long Fei sucked on his saliva that was about to spill out and said, "How can I see enough of this?" Pride and Amp, cool woman paused for a moment. "If it was before, your eyes would no longer be there." Long Fei said, "If it were in the past, I would have already ridden you under." "What about in the past?" Pride and Amp, cool woman turned and glared at Long Fei coldly. In the next second, he looked like he was about to pounce on her. Long Fei immediately laughed. "It's just a joke. Don't be serious." Pride and Amp, cool woman turned his voice and continued to walk forward. He said coldly, "The next stage is the Heaven Punisher formation. No one has ever entered here before. According to the name of the mission, there should be Empyrean gods within it." Long Fei asked, "What is a god? Are they the immortals in the sky?" The Pride and Amp, cool woman said, "The miniature image of the powerhouse in the divine space, or perhaps the powerhouse in the divine space. They are guarding a certain entrance in a certain secret world. Of course, it might not be so." Long Fei said, "You know a lot, don't you? Your cultivation is also very special. Are you really an Empyrean god?" Pride and Amp, cool woman trembled slightly. Long Fei's mouth hooked up as he laughed. "Ha-ha, if you're a god, then I am a god, ha-ha." Pride and Amp, cool woman glared at Long Fei coldly and continued to walk forward. Long Fei secretly laughed in his heart and said, "What is your purpose for coming here? Me? Or was it the little girl, Phoenix? No matter what kind of goal you have, if you dare to touch Phoenix, no matter who you are, no matter how beautiful you are, you will still die." With Long Quang here, how could Long Fei not know about the Pride and Amp, cool woman? Long Quang had long told Long Fei about the special characteristics of the Pride and Amp, cool woman. It was just that Long Fei pretended not to know anything. The Pride and Amp, cool woman was a god. The sudden appearance of a god in the outer sect of ancient antiquity forced Long Fei to be cautious. The sudden appearance of a god in the outer sect of ancient antiquity forced Long Fei to be cautious. With those men in black? specializing in dealing with phoenixes. Long Kwang had said that the phoenix and the special beast had phoenix king blood. This was a rare occurrence in the divine phoenix clan, as her blood vein was extremely powerful. The powerhouse in the divine space all had the physique of a god, but towards the stronger powers, they were like bloodthirsty sharks and wouldn't let go of the phoenix. Adding the lack of momentum from the Phoenix Valley and the dragon race, they would have even less of a fear. Besides dealing with Phoenix, the other possibility was to deal with himself. Long Fei was not afraid against him. Even, he was still very excited. There was only one person who wanted to deal with him, the Emperor Xian. If the aloof lady was here to deal with him, that would mean that she was directly connected to the Emperor Xian and might be able to find out the location of the Emperor Xian. This was very beneficial to Long Fei. However, the aloof woman did not reveal any of her intentions for coming to ancient antiquity. Let's go in together. The aloof woman stood at the entrance of the mountain peak where the Eye of Destruction was. It was a portal surrounded by light. Inside was the final test of the three gods' mission. God of Heaven's secret world. It was rumored that the heavenly God's secret world S could directly enter the divine space. Is it true or not? You'll know soon enough. Long Fei walked up to stand in a row with Pride and Amp, cool woman, and directly held on her hand and said, "Sure." Pride and Amp, cool woman, wanted to pull back his hand, but Long Fei held it tightly. Moreover, the moment she was grabbed by Long Fei's hand, she felt a strange feeling. A feeling she had never experienced before was also something she had never experienced before. Very special. It was a little wonderful. Her heart pounded uncontrollably a few times. However, she calmed down in less than a second. When Long Fei stepped into the portal, she was also let in by Long Fei. Buzz! The teleportation light surrounded the two of them. In a few seconds, a dim light shone onto their faces. Long Fei opened his eyes and looked around him. The sun was setting. The setting sun was like fire, covering half of the sky. The clouds were fiery clouds, and a dark red radiance enveloped the entire sky palace. Beautiful, beautiful beyond compare. The surroundings were filled with all sorts of magnificent buildings. These pavilions were all suspended in the sky. Above the clouds, every building was dazzling in gold and jade, as if they were gods. It looked like the heavenly court in the movie world with just a glance. Long Fei muttered, "So beautiful." Pride and Amp. Cool woman's expression also slightly shook as he was captivated by the scene before him. The two held hands as the setting sun shone on their faces, as if they were lovers. This kind of scenery, this kind of beauty, it really made one feel relaxed and happy. At this moment, boom! An explosive sound resounded in the air as a golden light flashed. A huge pressure attacked over, and with a heavy sound, it said, "Who dares to enter the God of Heaven secret world?" Buzz! The divine pressure came crushing down. Long Fei's heart sank. His entire body was almost crushed by the pressure. It was extremely uncomfortable. The cold woman's body only trembled slightly, but she did not suffer much pressure. She was a god herself. The divine pressure wasn't any special power to her. Seeing Long Fei's pale face, the Pride and Amp, cool woman said indifferently, "You can't even withstand this kind of pressure?" The meaning in his words was, "Aren't you the god of heaven? Why can't you withstand this kind of pressure? This is only the most basic. Could it be an act?" The dragon race was also an existence of the gods in the divine space. In fact, in a certain era, the dragon race was the strongest race of the gods. Long Fei said, "Do I look like I'm faking it?" Pride and Amp, cool woman, raised his right hand, dispelling quite a bit of the divine pressure that was crushing down on Long Fei's body. He said, "You are that weak? I've been despised. Furthermore, he had been looked down upon by a beauty." Long Fei said, "That's right. I'm already so weak. Beautiful sister, hurry up and protect me." After he finished speaking, Long Fei was about to press his body into the Pride and Amp, cool woman's chest. Because Pride and Amp, cool woman, was really a little high, taller than Long Fei by a head. With Long Fei leaning on her, he could only lean on her chest. Pride and Amp, cool woman's eyes turned cold. had already touched her bottom line, and now he was leaning on her chest. She said coldly, "Do you want to die?" Long Fei grinned and said, "To be able to die in your hands is already worth it." He did not stop and continued leaning on it. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's eyes flashed with killing intent. Long Fei acted as if he did not see anything, leaning on Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's chest like a rogue. "I'm so scared." Pride and Amp. Cool Woman was about to erupt, his teeth chattering loudly. The power on his palms surged, as if slapping Long Fei to death with one palm. But right at this moment, as the golden light descended, a guard clad in shining golden armor descended. He held a long blade in his hand. He was extremely gorgeous, and his entire body was shining with golden light. Long Fei saw this scene. Wow, Gudong! He immediately swallowed his saliva and jumped out from Pride and Amp, Cool Woman's chest. He calmed himself down and stared at Golden Armor God with glowing eyes, and in his heart he said excitedly, "Damn, boss." Pride and Amp. Cool Woman shivered slightly, rejecting the killing intent that rushed up. With a wave of the Golden Armor God's long blade, he pointed at Long Fei and bellowed, "Who are you? How dare you enter the heavenly God secret world? I'll give you 10 seconds. Get the hell out of here." His tone was filled with contempt. They had never placed Long Fei and Pride and Amp, Cool Woman in their eyes at all. Long Fei stared at Golden Armor God and started to drool. The degree of this golden light is really different. So Empyrean gods are indeed Empyrean gods. When Pride and Amp, Cool Woman saw Long Fei's perverted look, she was startled in her heart. Could it be that he has a hobby of being obsessed with Long Yang? Seeing Golden Armor God was even more exciting than seeing her. This made her a little depressed. When Golden Armor God saw Long Fei's expression, he was extremely angry and shouted, "Did you not hear what I just said? Rumble!" The long-hilted blade in his hand trembled as a powerful shockwave was released. A strength stripes that could be seen with the naked eye, and the might of the god heavily struck towards Long Fei. Very strong. The aloof woman's eyes narrowed. The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up as he said excitedly, "How could I not hear something so loud? But, since Laozi is here, how can I not bring something back? Haha, Heaven Punisher? Do you mean to kill every single deity here?" The smile on Long Fei's face became sinister. He stared at Golden Armor God, and then looked at the powerful pressure heading towards him. The space between his eyebrows deepened as he inwardly shouted, "Three-rate ancient dragon body, open." He didn't say anything. First open the three-rate ancient dragon body. And then, Long Fei's body sank, his eyes staring at Golden Armor God as he instantly rushed out. A frontal confrontation. Long Fei had seen a lot of beautiful women. Long Fei had seen a lot of beautiful women. Every single one of his women were gorgeous beauties that could cause the downfall of nations. Beautiful women were very important. However, at a time like this, the boss was even more important. This was especially important for top-grade bosses whose bodies were glowing with a golden light. He had no time to tease Pride and Amp, Cool Woman now. The only thing he wanted now was to kill this boss. The three-rate ancient dragon body opened. Dragons roared. The aura around Long Fei's body suddenly changed as the gigantic dragon simulacrum enveloped his body. In an instant, he looked like a completely different person. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman frowned, activating Dragon Clan mode. Bam! Rumble! Charging towards the thick suppressive force of the god. Long Fei's body paused for half a second and didn't get crushed like before. Break through the pressure. Long Fei laughed excitedly. With a flip of his right hand, a small dagger appeared in his palm. Golden Armor God glared. "How dare a scumbag act rashly in front of me? You overestimate yourself." The long blade in his hand sank down, and his body leaned forward slightly. Explode! A golden light burst out from the ground, and Golden Armor God instantly charged forward, turning into a golden lightning bolt. Die! A soft sound was heard. He leaped into the air, raised the golden blade in his hand, and slashed down onto Long Fei's head. Walala! Bang, bang, bang! The golden blade sliced through the air, golden rays of light scattering in all directions, and the sound of muffled thunder could be heard. This power, it was a bit too fierce. Long Fei looked up, his eyes darkened, seeing the golden armor god coming down at him. There was no fear in his eyes, but instead excitement. The boss is the boss. Strength is indeed extraordinary. Ooh, letting out a light breath, Long Fei did not just stand there and wait for death. Boom! The divine lightning in his hand moved slightly, hiding in his sleeve. His right hand sank, infinite boxing. Boom! A thick gauntlet covered his fist as he punched forward. The golden blade slashed down in anger. The endless fists clashed head-on. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A series of energy shock waves burst out as a golden light burst out. Long Fei's arm was almost chopped off. Although the infinite boxing was not injured, Long Fei's body was still pressed down from midair. The golden blade heavily slashed at the glove, and both of Golden Armor God's hands pressed down heavily. Walala! Walala! His body dropped down vertically. Bam! Long Fei landed on the ground, and the ground sank. A powerful energy shock wave was ejected out, and Long Fei's knees bent. His entire body could not help but tremble. He could not withstand the power of this move. His body slowly bent. Golden Armor God was proud. Humph. Even a low-level being like you dares to be presumptuous in front of me. Hee. Long Fei sneered. Golden Armor God shouted. You still dare to laugh? I told you to use your soul flying. Golden Armor God was very unhappy. The power in his hand suddenly increased, pressing down so hard that Long Fei couldn't even lift his arm. Laugh. Let's see how you laugh then. You're just an ant. Golden Armor God glared at Long Fei with anger in his eyes, extremely pleased with himself. Pride and amp. Cool Woman squinted. She was going to attack. However, right at this moment, Long Fei's body sank, and he immediately pulled back his hand. His body blurred, and walk-like snakeskin instantly appeared behind Golden Armor God. The space between Golden Armor God's eyebrows tightened, and the golden light around his body surged. His defense was heaven-defying as he yelled. Still trying to run? His defense was strengthened, preventing Long Fei from launching a sneak attack. Similarly, he thought that Long Fei wanted to escape. Flee? Haha. I, Long Fei, do not know how to write the word flee. Divine lightning. Break! The divine thunder dagger under his sleeve moved, stabbing towards the back of Golden Armor God heavily. Rumble! The divine lightning dagger had its own special attribute, Thunder God's Wanjun. As the dagger stabbed down, thunder exploded forth, and lightning rampaged through the world. Golden Armor God laughed coldly. Ha 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 ha! You have no idea how high the sky is. Kill me. I'm an Empyrean god. How can an ant like you kill me? If I give you 10,000 years, don't even think of hurting a single hair on my head. Golden Armor God laughed crazily. Because he was a god. How could a human brat from the mortal world kill him? If even a mortal kid could kill him, then he wouldn't be an Empyrean god. Laugh to your heart's content. Long Fei's hands exploded with power. Boom. The divine lightning stabbed into the golden light. Buzz. The golden light enveloping Golden Armor God's body suddenly disappeared. All that was left was the golden armor. When the divine lightning dagger pierced through the Golden Armor God's eyes darkened. He glared at the dagger, wanting to counterattack. Long Fei did not give him a chance. Bam! It pierced down heavily. One-hit kill. Crack! The dagger pierced through Golden Armor God's body completely, and in that moment, Shu and Abai's light shot out from within the 7 deadly swords. This was lightning, the power of lightning that the divine lightning released from his body. Golden Armor God let out a painful howl. His body spasmed crazily, his expression warped, and his entire body compressed. The blood on top of his head started dripping down. 83233 474 inch. 81382893. 8223-22132. All sorts of exploding damage floated up from the top of Golden Armor God's head. Even Long Fei himself was stunned. Damn. Godly Thunder Cow. This is really a one-hit kill. King of the Short Soldiers. The strongest weapon in close combat. Adding the Divine Lightning attribute. Truly awesome. The Pride and Damp. Cool woman that changed was also stunned. It could be said to be because Long Fei killed Golden Armor God, but it was because of the Divine Lightning in his hands, this dagger. Even if you were to put it in the Divine space, it would not be an ordinary product. The rewards for instance dungeons were very special. This was also why Long Fei had always insisted on training in the refined space. The rewards of an instance dungeon were too awesome. Seeing that the blood groove on Golden Armor God's head had become 0, and that Golden Armor God's body was also shrinking. Only his set of armor remained. Not even a body remained. It was rather strange. Long Fei thought of the Thunder Lord within the Heaven Fairyland, and thought to himself, could it be that he didn't kill it? Just as he was worrying, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Golden Armor God. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a strand of godly power. The notification sound ended. Long Fei was startled. Yeah. System your head. No matter what, you're still a god. Did you drop something? A strand of divine power? Long Fei was very unhappy with this rate. Isn't that a bit too much? At this time, Pride and Damp. Cool woman walked up and looked at the golden armor on the ground before saying indifferently, he is a fake god. Long Fei was depressed. He looked at Pride and Damp, Cool woman, and asked, God of Heaven, what else is fake? What the heck is this world? Fake god. Fake god. Fake. Damn. I was just saying if it really is the God of Heaven, how could there be such rubbish? Long Fei said angrily. At the same time, he walked to the golden armor, picked it up, and placed it in the space ring S. The golden armored armor was not high. It could not be considered divine level armor, but could also be considered as subdivine level armor. It was not bad for Bailey Tian Hai and the others to use. We can't waste it. The Gowlin goddess glanced at Long Fei. Her eyes turned slightly cold and filled with disdain. Long Fei said, What's wrong? Are you looking down on me? The Pride and Damp. Cool woman said, You can even kill the fake god. What do you need this junk for? Is it necessary? Long Fei said, It's necessary. It's very necessary. I pick up the equipment of the people I kill. I think it's very necessary. It's you, though. Long Fei's voice turned as his 2 fingers pulled at his chin, sizing up the aloof woman with great interest. His eyes narrowed slightly and laughed sinisterly a few times. Pride and Damp. Cool woman asked, What are you laughing about? Long Fei said, I think you're very special. Pride and Damp. Cool woman asked, What's so special about me? Long Fei asked, How do you know he's from the fake god? Have you ever seen a deity? Do you know what a true Empyrean god is? In a mortal world, there are only a few people who stand at the peak of the pyramid who have seen Empyrean gods. Don't even mention a mere outer disciple of yours. You've met Empyrean gods before. Long Fei laughed. He knew that the Pride and Damp, cool woman's identity was special, but he wanted to know something from her. However, Pride and Damp, cool woman did not even bother to answer his question. Sneering coldly, he continued, I've never met a god who does not need to report to you, right? The tone of his voice was both high and cold. It was disdainful to explain anything to Long Fei. Pride and Damp, cool woman walked down the stairs and headed towards the heavenly palace. Long Fei was startled for a few seconds, then muttered, Damn, I do not believe it. Looking at Pride and Damp, cool woman's alluring back view, under the light of the setting sun, her body also seemed to be glowing brilliantly like an angel. Long Fei swallowed his saliva and followed along. As the two of them walked, other than the fake goddess that appeared, they did not meet any other gods. The entire heavenly palace was cold and lonely, which was a little different than what Long Fei had imagined. Can it be just a fake Empyrean god? If it's just a fake Empyrean god, then we should be able to kill him and complete the mission. Long Fei muttered. They had already been in the secret world for a day. In other words, the registration for the intersect examination is up in 2 days. He had to get back. Just as Long Fei was thinking about this, the center of pride and damp, cool woman's brows tightened. He suddenly stopped and said, "Something is approaching." Long Fei immediately stopped. The idea moved, sensing his spirit energy. Nothing. He did not sense anything approaching him. Pride and damp, cool woman said lightly. It disappeared. Following that, she continued to walk and would be surprised from time to time. Every time when Long Fei sensed his surroundings, she would say that she had disappeared. This made Long Fei a little irritated. The two of them walked to a large hall. Ling Xiao Palace. Long Fei looked at the few words in the hall and said, "Damn, why do I feel like this hall's name is a little familiar?" Pride and damp, cool woman said lightly, "There are a lot of special auras inside. They should be around the same as the fake god I just met." Long Fei moved, wanting to sense them, but was stopped by the pride and damp, cool woman, saying, "Your senses of the idea will wake them up." Long Fei was displeased. If I'm about to wake up, then I'm going to wake up. Since Laozi came here to kill them all, would they be lying on the bed, waiting for me to kill them all? He had no time to waste. Since it was the Heaven Punisher, it meant killing all the Empyrean gods here. True or false, it didn't matter. Thus, not only did Long Fei not retract his sense for the idea, he walked towards Ling Xiao Palace in large strides, roared deeply, and said, "Come out and accept your death." Pride and damp, cool woman's eyes darkened, and said, "Are you going to kill yourself? You will wake them all up this way. What if there really is a god of heaven inside? What will you do then?" Obviously, the pride and damp, cool woman was also unable to confirm whether or not there really was a god here. Even if there was no real god, it would be hard for many fake gods to deal with them. It was not bad that she was very strong. However, she was not a deity who had descended to the mortal world, but was reincarnated for reincarnation. She had to be careful in this mission, but she didn't expect Long Fei to be so reckless. Bang, bang, bang. With a single step, he strode towards the entrance of the palace. Long Fei's gaze swept across the place, and his expression darkened slightly before he suddenly stopped. The pride and damp, cool woman hurriedly walked over and said in a low voice, "I told you before, not to be so loud. You are..." Not waiting for him to finish. "Gudong." Long Fei swallowed hard, looked at every single one of Ling Xiao Palace's disciples, and his eyes began to shine as he said, "So many bosses. We're rich. Ha ha." Ling Xiao Palace. Many statues of Empyrean gods were erected on both sides of the palace. There were several rows of statues behind the statue of the god of heaven. It was smaller, and the golden light it emitted was thinner. The statue of the god of heaven on both sides of the hall was extraordinarily powerful, and the golden light surrounding it was extremely dazzling. It felt like he was appearing in the heavenly court in a mythical movie. At the very top of the great hall, on a 9-dragon chair, sat a man wearing a yellow robe and an imperial crown, the domineering aura of a ruler of 9 or 5 years. Just a single glance was sufficient to cause one to feel respect for him. At this moment, they couldn't help but want to kneel on the floor. The pressure in his heart was incomparably strong. Even the statue. The important point, the light that shone from his body was different. It was as if the light emitted by the statue of the god of heaven on both sides of the hall was just a little bit more intense. Then, the light emitted by the emperor sitting on the 9-dragon seat would penetrate the heart, shock the mind, and cause one's knees to involuntarily tremble. The light was completely different. Pride and amp. Cool woman's knees were trembling as she struggled to take a step back. Her voice was like a mosquito's as she said, "Go, go, go." There was fear in his voice. When she met fake God just now, she didn't have the slightest bit of fear, but now she was terrified. Clearly, there really was an incredible Empyrean god within the palace. Long Fei shot a glance at him and said, "Leave? If I don't turn this place upside down, I won't leave. You can still walk after entering the boss lair." Long Fei had always wanted to meet a group of bosses in his life. Immediately, Long Fei stepped into the Ling Shao Hall. At this moment, buzz! A beam of light shot out from the Hall of Soaring Heavens and activated all of the statues in the hall, causing their bodies to start moving. At the same time, a thick voice filled with divine might came crashing down. Who is the one who doesn't kneel before Ling Shao Palace? Long Fei laughed and said, Your ancestor me. Your ancestor me. Long Fei replied heavily. Your ancestor me. Long Fei replied heavily. This voice caused a huge commotion in the main hall. It was as if the whole world was boiling over at once. How dare you? How dare you? Where did this scumbag come from? How dare he act rashly in Ling Shao Palace? You must be tired of living. Voices after voices brought along streams of divine might as they assaulted towards Long Fei. That pressure was visible with the naked eye, as if a divine light that was capable of overturning the heavens had exploded above Long Fei's head. In an instant, all of the divine might in the hall rumbled into Long Fei's body. How powerful was his true pressure? Let alone a human, even a divine beast would probably be grinded to smithereens. The pride and amp, cool woman's face sank and wanted to grab on a Long Fei's arm to run away. The pressure was too strong, unable to resist at all. She really did not think that Long Fei would actually be so arrogant. Was there such a person? This was not arrogance. This was more like a retard. Even if he wanted to clear the level, he couldn't mess around like this. What was this called? This was what it meant to force oneself to a dead end. When pride and amp, cool woman heard Long Fei say, Your ancestor I, her scalp went numb. However, she did not catch Long Fei. Long Fei took a few steps forward, his two eyes staring at the 10 powerful divine might pressing down on him. He rubbed his nose and said, F***CK. Just you guys. It was even more crazy. Pride and amp. Cool woman was completely confused by Long Fei as he said angrily, Can you stop acting cool? Is this a place where you can act cool? There really is an Empyrean god here. The real god's powerhouse. What are you doing fooling around here? Run. Pride and amp. Cool woman wanted to die. Long Fei asked, Are you crazy? This is called madness. Then you should see me, who's even crazier. Facing dozens of attacks from divine might, Long Fei's body sank, and the idea moved. Level 4 ancient dragon body. Activate for me. Boom! A loud explosion resounded. A huge dragon emerged and directly covered Long Fei's entire body. Dragons roared. Dragon power instantly burst forth. Roar! Roar! Release him. The divine might that was assaulting Long Fei was immediately broken and crushed one after another. It was completely unable to withstand the crushing pressure of his dragon might. Long Fei smirked and laughed. If you have the strength, then you aren't called arrogant. You're called using your true colors. Pride and amp. Cool woman looked at Long Fei and said, You think you're strong? Even if you're from the dragon race, you're just a reincarnated body of the dragon race. Your dragon might have some skills, but your cultivation is only at the first level of Sword Saint. How much of the power did you display before your reincarnation? Even if you can use all of your power, do you think you can block the Empyrean God? When ancient antiquity saw you unleash your dragon's might, I felt that you were not ordinary at all, and felt that you had met someone who could work hard together. But, pride and amp, cool woman laughed coldly. In my opinion, you're just a brash braggart, and a braggart one at that. You really disappoint me. I'm so disappointed. Have you forgotten why you chose to reincarnate? After reincarnating, cultivation will be rebuilt, and every step will be taken in advance. Every step must be firm and unyielding, but I'm just making fun of your own life. Pride and amp. Cool woman had a face full of disappointment. Seeing Long Fei's posturing, she was really disappointed. No wonder the previous overlord race would be reduced to such a state now. It means that there are more people like you who like to show off, and people who like to act cool. Do you think I would like someone who likes to put on an act and doesn't know his place? They talked a lot. Pride and amp. Cool woman's expression was very disappointed, but she was also very angry. From her point of view, Long Fei wanted to show off in front of her and win her favor. In her previous life, there were many men who competed against her just to get her to smile and be intimate with her. She hated this sort of popinjay. Thus, she had never looked down on those who teased her or those who thought themselves to be arrogant. She had even killed them directly. There should be fewer such people in the world. Long Fei's current performance was the same as those popinjays. Just to show himself, Long Fei was even more brainless because he didn't know what kind of opponent he was going to face. Long Fei was stunned by his words. He was a little unclear about the situation, and when he saw Pride and Damp, Cool Woman's angry look, he could not help but say, "Do you think that I'm pretending like this because of you? You think I'm like this because I want to be liked by you? You really think so?" Long Fei laughed, then said, "You are indeed beautiful, with a good figure, making people wish that they could take care of you with just a glance. But you are so beautiful. What kind of woman have I, Long Fei, never seen in my life? My women are countless times more beautiful than you. Do you think I need to show off in front of you? I think you should recognize yourself. Not all men approach you to get your love. At least I'm not. What I want is not what I like, but your body." Long Fei said very straightforwardly, clearly revealing his own thoughts. The average man's thoughts are in the lower half of his body. Especially when he met beautiful girls, he would only use his lower body to think. However, Long Fei would never forget who he was just because of a woman he had interacted with for a few days. "You can think that I am very arrogant and conceited, and have no idea how high the heavens are and how deep the earth is. But I find all this a bit ridiculous." The Pride and Amp Cool Woman sneered and said, "Laughable. I wonder who's the funniest." Long Fei glanced at him and said indifferently, "Look carefully." His body sank. The aura on Long Fei's body changed once again as he roared his heart. Rank 5 ancient dragon body. Roar. The phantom looked as if it was real, and one of the dragons looked even more ferocious. Long Fei's body was shining brightly anyway. The domineering might of the dragon shook the entire soaring sky hall. Impudent. A puny human dares to behave so atrociously in Lingxiao Hall? Come on, kill him. The Empyrean god seated on the chair let out a loud shout. Immediately, the surrounding gods all rushed towards Long Fei, releasing all sorts of powerful techniques. The pressure covered the sky, and all the big moves covered the sky, striking towards Long Fei. Pride and Amp Cool Woman smiled coldly, not showing any intention of helping. "Let me see it clearly. I'm watching you now. Let's see how you die. Isn't it better to keep a low profile? You just have to continue acting cool. I'll see how you continue acting cool now." Even if the aura on Long Fei's body became stronger, she did not think that Long Fei could withstand this wave of attack. Long Fei was already very angry in his heart. Hearing what Pride and Amp Cool Woman said, the anger in his heart burned even hotter. Damn it! Long Fei's gaze darkened as the divine lightning in his hand moved. His gaze swept across the hall, locking onto all the deities charging towards him, and he said with a heavy voice, "One wave rush." Arrogant? Arrogant? Acting cool? Without strength? Perhaps it really was like this. But what if he had the strength? To the Pride and Amp Cool Woman, Long Fei just wanted to show off in front of her and get her approval. This was a method usually used by many men. If you want to get the favor of a woman, then you have to act cool. In her eyes, Long Fei was just like that. This made Long Fei very unhappy. With the divine lightning in his hand, he activated the ancient dragon body of the 5th level, facing all the deities in the hall, his body sinking. One wave rush. He instantly charged forward. At the same time, the entire palace was filled with heavenly gods who unleashed all kinds of powerful attacks towards Long Fei. For a moment, the entire hall was filled with explosions and explosions. Pride and Amp Cool Woman said coldly, "Although these gods are all fake goddess, you." "Haha." Pride and Amp Cool Woman smiled, then turned to leave. Bam! First kill. Long Fei shouted softly. The body of the Empyrean god next to him began to rapidly shrink. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman paused slightly. Bam! Second kill. Long Fei's voice rose a little, and another heavenly god fell. Bam! Third killing strike. Long Fei's voice became louder as a heavenly god fell. Ding! 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 The system beep S also continuously rang out. Every time he attacked, a divine spirit would fall. The destructive power of the divine lightning was vividly displayed, and it was like a god-slaying blade in Long Fei's hands. Everywhere he went, other than death, it was also death. Bang, bang, bang. The Empyrean god continued to collapse. The Pride and Amp, Cool Woman, who was initially prepared to leave, stopped and turned around. Seeing the dazed look in Long Fei's eyes, and seeing the gods fall one after another, her little face was a little uncomfortable. His heart was twisted. His face was burning. She never thought that Long Fei could kill so many fake gods. The force of the explosion shocked her. However, even so, she didn't think that Long Fei could win. This was because the people he killed were all from fake god, and they were not real gods. They did not have the ability of a god either, but there was one in the middle of the hall. He was the emperor of the Nine Dragons' throne. His aura was completely different from the light. He was a true god. Even if Long Fei could kill all these fake goddess, it would be useless. Thinking of this, the Pride and Amp, Cool Woman calmed down. His eyes were also somewhat cold as he looked at Long Fei and said, "If you want to prove yourself, you've already done it. You still have a chance to retreat right now." Long Fei replied with 2 words, hee hee. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman still felt that his ego was good. Her tone made Long Fei very uncomfortable. Boom! One of the Empyrean gods had his head pierced through by divine lightning. 17th kill. Bang, bang, bang. The might of a dragon burst forth, the powerful force filling the entire hall. 1 kill 1. 1 pair kill. Long Fei did not retreat a single step. Bang, bang, bang. A few seconds later, one by one, the Empyrean gods within the palace began to collapse. Dozens of Empyrean gods had all perished. All that was left on the ground were the sets of armor. In the end, only the Emperor remained on the throne of the 9 dragons. He stared at Long Fei with his gloomy eyes. He did not seem to care about the death of the fake goddess at all. Long Fei stood in the middle of the main palace and also looked at the Emperor. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman said, "He is a true god. Don't think that just because you possess the power of a dragon that you can contend against him. You are not his match at all." In her heart, she didn't want to see Long Fei throw his life away. At least Long Fei was still someone from the divine space. However, these words of hers were still extremely unpleasant to Long Fei, who lightly said, "Didn't you leave already? Why is he still here?" Pride and Amp, Cool Woman said, "I am only reminding you, if you don't leave now, you will die here." Long Fei said, "Is it related to you?" The Pride and Amp, Cool Woman was at a loss for words and angrily shouted. Long Fei asked, "What's wrong with me? I like to act cool. That's what I like. What's wrong?" Pride and Amp, Cool Woman sneered and said, "Fine, if you like it, then send yourself to death. Now I know why such a powerful dragon clan became such a tyrant. It's because there are more people like you." Long Fei tightened his brow and gritted his teeth. He was of the dragon race. He cultivated the ancient dragon body. He did not like others saying that the dragon race was wrong. In an instant, Long Fei's gaze was tightly locked. Staring at the Emperor on the 9 Dragon Emperor's throne, he made a move. Bam! His figure dashed out explosively. Shwa! Roar! The entire palace hall was trembling from the raging dragon aura. With a swing of the dragon head, it smashed towards the 9 Dragons' throne. 9 Dragon King was furious. He flipped his right hand and threw out his yellow robe. Boom! An extremely strong wave of energy struck over, smashing right into Long Fei's body. Long Fei's body was directly swept away. His body sank and steadied itself in the air. His body floated in the air and his legs sank. Roar! The colossal dragon roared. Long Fei rushed towards the 9 Dragon King once again. Bam! With another sweep of his sleeve, a powerful force came crashing down. Buzz! The enormous dragon's silhouette shook slightly, and Long Fei's body heavily landed on the ground. After continuously exploding backwards, his internal organs shook and felt extremely uncomfortable. Unhappy, pride and amp. Cool Woman's eyes carried contempt as he chuckled. MMP. Long Fei shouted a vulgarity as he put away the divine lightning and lowered his right arm. Bang! The infinite boxing appeared on his fist. Explode! The power of the ancient dragon body of the 5th level erupted, causing his sea of consciousness to tremble slightly. The dragon body of the 5th level exceeded the limits of what his body could handle. There's a time limit, and it will be backfired. Super power boxing. His right arm exploded with power. Bang! The ground cracked. Long Fei rose from the ground and instantly rushed in front of Nine Dragon King, throwing out a heavy punch. Ah! Roar! The dragon's roar shook, and the power on his fist burst out a golden light. Nine Dragon King looked at him with contempt and swung his sleeves anyway. Bam! Long Fei threw a punch. Hualala! The god's power of the Nine Dragon King shattered as Long Fei passed through it. His eyes revealed excitement. Get down. With his strength broken, would the Nine Dragon King be able to handle it? But Nine Dragon King sat on his seat motionlessly. He didn't even blink his eyes as he watched Long Fei's fist land on him. Buzz, rumble, boom, boom, boom. The dense power from his body surged out and directly blocked Long Fei's fist and was unable to move an inch. Long Fei retracted his fist and punched again. But it was the same. The Nine Dragon King did not move at all. His fist was still only 10 centimeters away from the center of his brows, but these 10 centimeters, it just couldn't go down. His strength was too strong. Moreover, at this moment, Nine Dragon King's pupils slightly shrank. Golden divine power surged from his body and shook. Boom! Long Fei was flung backwards, falling heavily on the ground as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Even if he was sitting there, he wouldn't be able to beat him? Even if he was sitting there, he wouldn't be able to beat him? Was this the power of a god? A little bit fierce. When Pride and Amp, Cool Woman, saw Long Fei's bloody eyes, he said, I knew you weren't my opponent. Let's go, there's still a chance now. Long Fei crawled up from the ground and didn't look at the Pride and Amp, Cool Woman at all. Once again walking to the center of the hall, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, he looked at Nine Dragon King and said, You have some strength. The Nine Dragon King said coldly, Seeing as you are a person who has gone down a train in the divine space and left you with your little life, it is still too late for you to leave. Those who choose to go down to the mortal world to train did not have a simple background. It was not that the powerhouse of the divine space was unsatisfied with his cultivation. He could even reincarnate and cultivate once more if he wanted to. The reincarnation process required a huge price to complete. It was very obvious that the Nine Dragon King didn't want to kill Long Fei. Otherwise, he wouldn't have only defended himself against the previous 2 strikes. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman hurriedly entered the hall, grabbing on a Long Fei's arm and said, Let's go. Long Fei immediately struggled free and ignored the Pride and Amp, Cool Woman, saying, If I don't kill you, how can I leave? Nine Dragon King's eyes narrowed and said solemnly, Brat, are you challenging my bottom line? Pride and Amp, Cool Woman looked at Long Fei and said, If I said I would hurt your self-esteem, then I will apologize to you right now. Will you leave with me now? Pride and Amp, Cool Woman was very sincere. She did not wish for Long Fei to die here, since she was also a person who had gone down to train in the divine space. Her attitude changed. However, the words that she said were still imprinted in Long Fei's mind, and he said, You're not optimistic about me? Pride and Amp, Cool Woman said, This is not a matter of whether we are optimistic or not. This is a matter of the difference in strength. This is the mortal world. Both of us are people who have undergone recultivation, and our strength has not reached a certain level. He's a true Empyrean god. He said just now that he could let you go. What do you want now? Long Fei asked. Are you feeling sorry for me? Pride and Amp. Cool Woman looked at Long Fei and said angrily. Long Fei smirked and laughed wickedly. Let's make a bet. If I can kill him with this move, will you stay with me for the night? Pride and Amp. Cool Woman glared at him. Do you really want to die that badly? Long Fei asked. Do you want to bet or not? Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's face was filled with anger as he said, What if you lose? Long Fei said, You can do anything you want of me. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman said, All right, if you lose, you can become my slave. You'll be at my command for the rest of your life. Long Fei replied, No problem. Nine Dragon King laughed and said, Brat, you really don't know your place? Killing me in one move? Ha ha! It's the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. With just you. Ha! Nine Dragon King laughed crazily. He suddenly stopped laughing, and his pupils shrank as he said, How dare a little reincarnated member of the Dragon Clan act so arrogantly in front of me? Even Long Wushan would not dare to look down on me in such a manner. Kid, you make me angry. So, the next move will make you pay the price of looking down on me. As soon as he finished, bam! The dragon robe flapped, and an explosive sound rang out. Streams of power that were golden in color shot out from the mist, as if they had entered a berserk state. His strength was completely different from before. Long Fei's eyes also darkened. Staring at the Nine Dragon King, he said, One move. One move. Su Yun's body sank slightly. The idea moved and asked, Dragon Quang, is it really okay? Long Quang Dao. Don't worry. The destruction law that you obtained was enough to instantly kill him. He is only a third gray divine beast. In this world, his power has been amplified. If it was the divine space, he would be just a piece of trash. Long Quang said in disdain. The power system of the divine space was different. Although the Nine Dragon King seemed very strong, he was not even considered trash when compared to the Powerhouse S. The idea moved. Long Fei released the destruction law. It wrapped itself around the infinite boxing. At the same time, this was a Tao technique that he obtained from killing destroying eyes, a one-time use item. He originally wanted to leave it for Emperor Xian, but if a level 5 dragon body was unable to deal with a 9 Dragon King, then he could only use this move. Release. Bam! The destruction law was released, the energy on the infinite boxing surged, and the entire hall's aura suddenly changed. Ling Xiao Hall was as though it was surrounded by death itself. The surroundings of 9 Dragon King's eyes tightened as he said in a heavy voice, You are. Who are you? This is the power you brought down from the divine space. He became nervous. Even the eyes of the Pride and Amp. Cool Woman turned sinister. This isn't the power of the dragon race. Bam! Long Fei's figure blurred and instantly appeared in front of 9 Dragon King, the power of the destruction law wreaking havoc. The 9 Dragon King glared at him furiously. The 9-headed flood dragon on top of the 9 dragons' throne also roared crazily as the god's power burst out explosively. Destroy. Rumble. Long Fei punched down. Walala. Crisp sounds of explosions rang out. The power of the 9 Dragon King was instantly swallowed up by the destruction law. The power of the 9 Dragon King continued to shatter. Don't kill me. Under the Tao technique, 9 Dragon King's body was trembling. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, If I didn't kill you, how would I win? If I did, she would accompany me throughout the night. Ha! The punch was filled with rage. Die! The fist broke through everything. The fist struck out at the center of 9 Dragon King's brows, the power of the destruction law enveloping the entire 9 Dragon King. In an instant, a long gash of blood appeared on 9 Dragon King's head. It became 0. Instant kill. Clang. With a sound, the Emperor's hat on top of 9 Dragon King's head fell off, directly rolling to the center of the hall. 9 Dragon King's entire body was completely swallowed up by the destruction law. Long Fei was extremely shocked in his heart. The system's description is indeed correct, this destruction law. It really is an instant kill. If only I had a few more. Sigh. Long Fei's heart ached. He had used up such a strong power. How could he not feel pain? At this time, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing 9 Dragon King. Do you wish to absorb its realm? A third stage 9 Dragon King deity. As long as they could take in his level, they could be said to be unstoppable in the mortal world. No one would be able to hurt a single hair on his body. Without a doubt, this was a huge temptation. Gudong. Long Fei also swallowed his saliva heavily and said, no. The prompt for the capture level disappeared. Long Fei felt his heart ache again. My heavenly god of the 3rd rank. At the same time, the system beep sounded again. Ding! A notification sounded. A notification sounded. Long Fei's mind was moved. He thought, I've already given up my chance to become a god. You have to give me something good. I will depend on you. Umaba. This was Long Fei's first time killing a god, and also his first time becoming a 3rd-grade god. Disposable items. Possessing unparalleled strength and the power to instantly kill gods in the mortal world, it could be said how powerful was this power? Master System, I'm counting on you. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining this Strength Provenance Stone. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 9 Dragons Divine Technique. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the 3rd-rank Divinity Lattice. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Rare Source Stones Land. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Rare Source Stone * Water. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Rare Source Stones Wood. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the Flesh of the Rare Source Stone. Congratulations to player Kong Fei for obtaining Rare Source Stone Flame. The system beep continued to ring. When the first system beep sounded out, Long Fei was so excited that he almost stopped himself. Strength Provenance Stone. Haha. The 3rd, or on the infinite boxing. My soul. Space. I have already obtained 2 ores. This is the 3rd stone, which is also the one Long Fei wants the most. Power. I want to know when we will gather all 5 ores. Cough, cough. This is a bit too much. Long Fei thought of the scene in the movie where he destroyed half of the so-called heroes of the Avenger Alliance, disappeared with a snap of his fingers. That scene, it was a little too fierce. Moreover, half of them died with a snap of the fingers. Then, what if he snapped his fingers continuously? What would happen then? Long Fei wanted to know. It didn't matter if the infinite boxing he obtained was the same as the ones in the Avenger Alliance, or if the ore was the same. It's also for the best. Long Fei would snap his fingers crazily. If it wasn't the same, then it didn't matter. With all 5 ores gathered, the infinite boxing's strength would at least become stronger, right? Wait until I find a time to insert the 3 raw stones into it. At that time, I'll test the strength of the infinite boxing. Long Fei suppressed his excitement. Check next item. A 3rd-grade Empyrean God Spark. This should be a divine spark, right? Long Fei took a glance at the attributes, and his heart tightened. Damn, he was actually able to absorb half of the power of the original owner of the divine spark. Holy **T, this divine spark should be a priceless existence into the world of mortal world, right? Once a 3rd-grade deity lattice was merged, one could immediately become a god and enter the divine space. Not only that, one could even absorb half of the 9 Dragon King's cultivation and techniques. A 3rd-grade deity was enough to establish himself in the divine space. Each and every one of the holy godhead had been tempered 1,000 times. They had gone through countless trainings, made countless breakthroughs, and had accumulated for countless years to condense a divine spark. This was the most important thing to an Empyrean god. Now that there was a heavenly god spark in his hand, Long Fei felt like he had suddenly become rich. If this heavenly god spark is released, it will probably cause a war with the world of mortal world, right? I'm afraid there isn't a single one in the entire ancient antiquity, let alone the ancient antiquity Even the higher level heavenly sect did not have this kind of heaven-defying existence. All the warriors in the world of mortal world wanted to enter the divine space. But it was too difficult. Even those Emperor Swordsman's powerhouse could not pass the test. Passing the heavenly god's trial was the only way to enter the divine space. However, in the entire ancient world, only 1 or 2 people were able to enter the divine space. How difficult was this? How terrifying was the value of such a divine spark? With the 2 rare items on him, Long Fei was a little elated. The Strength Provenance Stone made him excited, while the 3rd Gray Divine Clone allowed him to become an upstart. Look at the 3rd thing. 9 Dragons Divine Technique. Long Fei muttered, "This technique." Long Quang interrupted, "This is a dragon's technique, which could be considered a high-level technique of the dragon race. You're currently cultivating the ancient dragon body, so this technique is just right for you." Huh? How could such a person have cultivated the dragon clan's cultivation method? Long Fei asked. Long Quangdao, after you reincarnated, the dragon race went downhill and declined constantly because you were too powerful back then. You destroyed all the ancient families in ancient world and crushed all the other powerhouses to be able to compensate money for treasures and cultivation techniques. In 1,000,000,000,000 years, it's been a great fortune that the dragon race didn't perish. But now that you've come back, the dragon race will certainly regain their glory. Long Quang said, full of spirit, his eyes shining with a golden light, full of confidence. Long Fei uttered softly, "Oh, don't worry, I'm back. I will take back everything that belongs to the dragon clan." Long Quangdao, as long as you recover your former strength, and when the time comes, tens of thousands of clans will pay their respects to you, crawling at your feet. What is a mere Emperor Xian? Back then, you were too strong, and no one was your match. Even those outer space powerhouse were. Seal. Long Fei laughed bitterly and said, "Outer clan powerhouse." He thought to himself, if Long Batian was really that strong back then he wouldn't only be from the other clans like the of the Seal, but also killed them all one by one. Evidently, the Long Batian at that time wasn't as strong as Long Quang had said. Otherwise, Long Fei would not have met Emperor Xian's accomplice, which was outer space powerhouse. Long Quang acted as if he knew what Long Fei was thinking, and replied, "At the beginning, you also had a reason, but we don't know the specifics. You only said that if you failed the mission, you would have perished, nothing else." It was similar to what the old devil had said. Black and White had once said that Long Fei did not have much time left. They had said that if Long Batian failed, he could not fail again, or else the entire ancient world would disappear. What exactly was it? Long Fei was also unsure, but he was too lazy to think about it right now. How should I cultivate this 9 dragons divine technique? Long Quangdao, the 9 dragon divine technique, is divided into 9 stages. Each stage is a dragon. Once you cultivate it to the 9th stage, you will be able to release all of the 9 dragons' power. 1 dragon is the power of 1 dragon. It can also be called dragon's power. Although you can release the power of the ancient dragon body, your ancient dragon body has a time limit, so a higher level ancient dragon body will not be beneficial to your body. This 9 dragon divine technique is just enough to make up for that. I will help you when you want to cultivate the strength of 1 dragon. This seems a little interesting. Long Fei nodded. All right. The idea moved and started cultivating the 9 dragons divine technique. There was an extra skill in the skill bar. 3 things, all of which were holy artifacts. 3 things, all of which were holy artifacts. Furthermore, it was not a holy artifact that the world of mortal world could own. The Stones of Strength, 3rd grade Empyrean God Lattice, and 9 Dragons Divine Technique. Any one of them was an overpowered existence. Other than these, there were also 5 rare Source Stones. It just so happened to be the metal, wood, water, fire, earth set. This is all prepared for the 5 of them. Long Fei looked at the 5 holy source stones that flickered with different colors. Long Quang Dao. These 5 holy source stones can increase his cultivation by 10 years. They have obtained 5 holy source stones, and with the cultivation techniques I mentioned last time, their cultivation will be earth-shattering in less than half a month. Long Fei replied, "MHM, go back and give it to them." Since he had become sworn brothers, then Long Fei would go all out to help him. If there was anything, he would naturally think of his brother who was beside him. 3 God-level items and 5 special rare source stone S. It could be said that the boss dropped very well. Since he changed the system, Long Fei had not felt this good in a long time. This was also the reason why he liked challenging others with high difficulty. The higher the level of the boss, the better. Only then would it be comfortable. After inspecting the items, Long Fei picked up the 9 Dragon King's helmet on the ground and said loudly, "This should be the task goal, right?" Glancing at the pride and damp, cool woman at the corner of his eyes, who was still in a daze, Long Fei didn't care that much and kept his helmet back into the space ring. At this moment, pride and damp, cool woman's face tensed up. Just now, when Long Fei killed all the fake goddess in one go, she felt her face burning. Now, her face felt as if it had been slapped. It was a little hard to bear. However, in comparison to her discomfort, she was more bewildered and shocked. It was impossible for someone to kill a dead god's powerhouse in the mortal world. Moreover, the 9 Dragon King was still a 3rd stage god state. Even the reincarnated divine space powerhouse S would not be able to kill a dead god's powerhouse at the level of the Sword Saint. Unless, when he reincarnated, he gained an extremely strong power. Pride and damp. Cool woman looked at Long Fei and his lips moved a few times. He wanted to ask Long Fei what was that power just now. Long Fei turned around and laughed sinisterly. "We didn't think that I would win, right?" The pride and damp. Cool woman was startled and immediately thought about the bet she had with Long Fei. If Long Fei killed the 9 Dragon King in one move, she would lose. If he lost, he would have to compensate Long Fei for the entire night. Thinking of this, her eyes turned cold. His complexion turned awful as well. Long Fei said, "What's wrong? Do you want to go back on your words after losing? Have you decided when to spend the night with me?" While they were talking, Long Fei's eyes sized up pride and damp, cool woman's body from top to bottom, and then from top to bottom, and stayed at a few special spots for a few more seconds. A lewd look. Long Fei did not hide anything. Pride and damp. Cool woman was indeed beautiful, especially her figure. First level. His legs were too slender, and he was wearing a tight suit that made it almost impossible to control the urge to commit a crime. All this bullshit about love and affection. Just trying to get her into bed. Any man would think so. Pride and damp. Cool woman said fiercely, "Be careful that I don't dig out your eyeballs." Long Fei laughed sinisterly and said, "It's useless even if you dig out my eyeballs. Even if you can't see, you still have to spend the night with me. Don't tell me you like blind people. Damn, my interest is so special. I can cover my eyes with my hands." Long Fei smiled evilly. Maybe it could be a little interesting. "Ha ha." Pride and damp. Cool woman's face flushed red, and he angrily shouted, "You!" Long Fei said, "I'm willing to admit my loss. When we return to ancient antiquity, I will make sure we get a good room. Then you can treat us nicely." Pride and damp. Cool woman wished that he could tear Long Fei apart. Anger was written all over his face. However, she lost. Originally, she looked down on Long Fei and thought that he was just like those other popinjays who only knew how to act cool and not be pragmatic at all. But then, Long Fei slapped her face. The strength of a single person could sweep through the entire soaring sky hall. Dozens of fake god were killed in a single blow by a 3rd ranked Empyrean god. Those ridiculing words that she had said towards Long Fei. Now she looked like a joke herself. Just as Long Fei had said, Powerhouse did not need to pretend. Just as Long Fei wanted to continue teasing the pride and damp. Cool woman, he heard a sudden shout, voila. The 9 dragons' throne suddenly turned. A secret door appeared. A divine light lingered inside the hidden door as the aura of the divine space faintly emerged. However, this secret door was a bit small, just like a dog hole. The pride and amp. Cool Woman's eyes trembled as he quickly entered the hall. Staring at the secret door, he asked loudly, "The secret world's door to the divine space? Really?" Her expression was one of excitement. Long Fei looked at her excited appearance and muttered, "Go to the divine space?" Pride and amp. Cool Woman said, "Why are you cultivating? Isn't it to enter the divine space? Now, as long as you walk through that secret door, you will belong to the divine space, so you will no longer have to waste time inside the world of mortal world." Other than the ancient antiquities rewards, the missions of the three gods were the biggest colorful eggs. He took a step forward and became a deity. Step back, adult. At that moment, in front of Long Fei, the distance between man and God was just this door. However, Long Fei was not the least bit interested. He glanced at the door. "Do you want me to go in through this dog hole?" It was extremely disdainful. This greatly shocked Pride and amp. Cool Woman. Not to mention a dog hole. Even if they were to crawl under the crotch, most powerhouse-s would still be willing to give such a chance to do so. Pride and amp. Cool Woman said, "This is the only shortcut, and this door has a time limit. As long as you enter, you will be able to..." Not waiting for her to finish, Long Fei had already walked out of the hall. Completely dismissive. Acting cool? Not at all. If it was just a gate, perhaps Long Fei would step in to take a look, but he couldn't. It was just a dog hole, just like how a powerhouse of the divine space would pity the mortal realm's powerhouse, showing you a dog hole. If you want to enter the divine space, then crawl in from inside the dog hole. This made Long Fei feel extreme disdain. Even if they wanted to enter the divine space, it would be done in broad daylight. They would also need to lift their heads and walk into the divine space with their chests held high. Dog hole? What the heck? Hey, did you hear me say that this might be the only chance you'll ever have in your life? Pride and amp. Cool Woman said anxiously. The world of mortal world was huge, and only 1 or 2 people could enter the divine space in a year. Pride and amp. Cool Woman did not want Long Fei to miss out. However, Long Fei did not even look back as he walked out and asked, "Are you leaving? If you don't leave, I'll leave." Drill a dog hole? Was this a gift from the divine space? If he wanted to enter the divine space, Long Fei would have to rely on his own strength and not burrow into dog holes. Facing this path of God, Long Fei, he did not have any hesitation. Facing this path of God, Long Fei, he did not have any hesitation. Forget about a dog hole. Even if it was just a gate, he wouldn't go in. At this moment, he wasn't ready. Upon entering the ancient world, he discovered that this world was stronger than he had expected, and the Emperor Xian would definitely be stronger than he had expected. Now that the Emperor Xian was standing in front of him, he wasn't 100% sure that he could kill him. Moreover, although his father was in the hands of the Emperor Xian, he knew clearly in his heart that if he didn't die, his father would be safe. He wanted revenge, but this time, Long Fei wanted to overturn it once. Absolutely do not let Emperor Xian return me to my original form again. Long Fei was only in the world of mortal world, and there was an even higher plane of existence in ancient world, the divine space. That was the place where the ancient strong gathered, the highest point in this world. Even if he were to enter now, he might not be able to do much. He needed more experience. He had already walked out of the Great Hall, and Pride and amp. Cool Woman was still standing in the middle of it. Looking at the dark entrance, her expression was complicated. After a long time, she watched as the door of the divine wonderland slowly closed and disappeared. The entire Kowloon throne returned to its original position. Huff! Pride and amp. Cool Woman let out a light breath, turned around, and left the Great Hall. He quickly chased up to Long Fei and said, "I have lost a chance to become a god." Long Fei said, "With my life, I have the chance." He believed in himself. As long as you work hard, you will definitely be able to enter the divine space. Long Fei looked at Pride and amp. Cool Woman, and asked, "You also had the chance to go in just now. Why didn't you go in?" It was obvious that the Pride and amp. Cool Woman really wanted to go in, because she felt that retraining in the world of mortal world would not help her much. She wanted to return to the divine space early. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman sank in a deep thought. She did not know the answer herself. Long Fei laughed sinisterly. If you went in just now, then you wouldn't have to accompany me for the night. Since you didn't go in, then tonight. You can't have really fallen for me, right? Even if you like me, you still won't leave? Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's eyes turned cold, filled with killing intent, and said solemnly, "Don't think that just because you killed a third-grade deity that you were powerful. You have the power that you brought down, and I have it too, and it's not any weaker than yours." Humph. Very powerful. She also had a special power brought down by the divine space. This was something that every divine space powerhouse who chose to reincarnate would do, and it carried a special power. Long Fei was not afraid, and said, willing to admit defeat, "Don't tell me you want to go back on your words? No matter what, you are someone who came down from the divine space. Do you have any credibility? How do you expect us commoners of the world, of mortal world, to view your S? Once word of this gets out, wouldn't it embarrass your divine space powerhouse?" Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's pupils constricted. In the end, he slowly relaxed and let out a heavy sigh. "Okay, I'll accompany you for the night, but if you dare to touch me, I'll break your third leg." Both of his eyes were gloomy and cold, showing a sinister killing intent, and his gaze was fixated between Long Fei's legs. Long Fei pretended to be scared and retreated, asking sinisterly, "Third leg? Do you know how big I am? Did you peek at me taking a bath? Just tell me the next time you want to see it. It's not good to be sneaky." Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's face flushed red as he struck a palm towards Long Fei. Long Fei took the opportunity to dodge, jumped to a distance of 10 meters, and said, "Did you get to your sore spot? Are you angry?" The Pride and Amp. Cool Woman was even more furious. At this moment, rumble, 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 boom, 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 boom. The entire secret world began to crack. Long Fei's expression tensed up and immediately became serious. He said, "Accompany me for a night and talk about it when you get back. Leave now. Even the secret world as from the 3 great god missions will collapse. If you don't leave now, you won't be able to escape." The collapse of secret world was not a small matter. Every single secret world was equivalent to a small plane, and the destruction brought about by a plane collapsing would devour everything. If he didn't leave, he could only die here. Even if it was the gods' powerhouse S themselves, they would still not be able to withstand it. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman was also very clear about this, so he did not attack Long Fei again. He quickly ran in front of Long Fei and said, "Hurry up, I don't want to die here." Long Fei also quickly flew to the exit. Ancient Antiquity, Main Hall. In the Great Elder's secret room, his expression suddenly changed. Completed? Why? How is that possible? Someone has actually completed this mission. His face was filled with shock. He was shocked beyond belief. Looking at a round ball in the secret room, he saw that the secret world and the ball had collapsed. It looked like a miniature projection. It was just that. He could only see the collapse of the secret world, but could not see the people within the secret world. Who is it? The Great Elder became excited. Are they inner or outer disciples? It should be impossible for outer court disciples. It must be an inner court disciple. Even if it's an inner court disciple, it's too unthinkable. This kind of person is only possible if it's someone with great luck. Mission accomplished. That should be flying into the divine space, right? This task was issued by him. Actually, he was just a publisher, and the real master behind this quest was a certain master of the divine space. He was just a substitute for the announcement. Now that the mission was completed, the person who completed the mission should have already entered the divine space. His eyes were filled with envy. Divine space. To the warriors of the world, of mortal world, this was their goal. A place that one would dream of entering. He had once entered the divine space, that place. To him, it was heaven. He was also trying hard. But with such limited talent, no matter how hard he tried, it would all be in vain. The reason he was able to enter the divine space was also because he was the divine space's envoy. Now that the mission was complete, there was definitely someone who entered the divine space. The great clan elder said excitedly, "There's one more powerhouse from the divine space. This year, I'm afraid, the Lord of the divine space is about to come." The image of Luluashi appeared in his mind, and with a smile, he thought to himself, if there is no surprise, Master God has set his eyes on her, she will definitely be selected, and she will not need to undergo any tests to enter the divine space. This way, my ancient antiquity will have 2 disciples that will enter the divine space. Haha, this is so grand. The fact that disciples could enter the divine space would help the sect's strength greatly. If 2 disciples were to enter the divine space in a year, it would be an incredible feat, that scene. The great elder felt excited just thinking about it. Walala, walala, rumble. The secret world continued to crumble as 2 figures ran for their lives. He continued to jump, escape from Ling Shao Hall, and escape from Zombie. When he landed at the South Heaven Gate, the entire Nantion city had already sunk down. Not only the ground, but the sky was cracking as well. Black flames continuously surged out. This was the rate at which the plane would be devoured by the black hole. Other than the fact that the secret world was collapsing, the teleportation formation outside the Nantion city was also flashing nonstop and was almost unable to hold on any longer. If the plane were to collapse, everything within it would be destroyed. If it didn't get out in time, Long Fei would die here. Looking at the teleportation circle that was swaying, Long Fei frowned and said, "There isn't enough time." The South Heaven Gate was still a long way from the teleportation circle. It would be difficult for them to rush to the teleportation circle as soon as possible. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's face secretly turned pale. It's possible. It's too late. Rumble, rumble. The voice of the mountain rage tsunami came from all directions. The huge rock outside the South Heaven Gate shattered. Nantion City was immediately engulfed by the black flames. This scene was even more terrifying than the end of the world. This kind of power that transcended everything, a human's life in front of this kind of power was really too weak. Not even an ant. Walala. The sky split open. A black bolt of lightning struck down, directly connecting with the black flames. Immediately, the sky and the earth connected, and the black lightning began to spread like wildfire, as if it was a huge lightning field. The surroundings were filled with dense lightning bolts. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman retreated a step back as his body trembled and cold sweat broke out from his forehead. He muttered, "We can't get out, we can't get out. It's all my fault. It's all my fault for staying in the Great Hall for so long, or else I wouldn't have. It's all my fault." Pride and Amp. Cool Woman could not control himself. She clutched her head with both hands, trembling like a frightened little girl from a cold and aloof beauty. He continuously retreated. As she thought about what happened in her previous life, her body trembled even more violently. Without any warning, it became like this all of a sudden. This caught Long Fei off guard. She originally had a slight chance of flying over, but now she delayed it. Long Fei grabbed her hand and said seriously, "Look at my eyes, look into my eyes. Don't worry, I, Long Fei, swear I will definitely bring you away." Pride and Amp. Cool Woman looked into Long Fei's eyes and gently shook his head. I. Trust me." With a heavy sound, Long Fei turned and picked up Pride and Amp, Cool Woman in one go. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman shrank back, nestling into Long Fei's embrace and weakly looking at Long Fei's lower jaw, as if she was looking up at a powerhouse. Sticking close to Long Fei's chest, she listened to Long Fei's powerful heartbeat, and her heart also became a lot calmer. Long Fei moved and said, "Dragon Quang." Long Quang Dao. "Master, if you were to speak alone, you would be in a rush. If you bring her along, I'm afraid, under extreme speed, an extra gram of weight would create even greater resistance." Needless to say, Long Fei was carrying someone. Long Fei, however, did not care that much and said, "I want to forcefully release rank 6 dragon body." Long Quang immediately said, "No. Master, it's really not possible. Have you forgotten the last time you were unconscious for 2 months? The last time was because of spirit blood's stimulation. It was to forcefully use the power of the dragon's body. I really can't. The dragon Kwong was very worried. Long Fei had only woken up for a few days, and he also needed spirit blood to stimulate his potential, which would cause great harm to his body. Not only that, if one used too much of their own spirit blood, the difficulties one would encounter later on would only become more and more. However, Long Fei did not think too much into it. If it's more difficult, then it's more difficult. I'll jump over anything that stands in my way. Bring it on. A drop of spirit bloods condensed out from the center of Long Fei's palm. Clenching his fist, the veins on his forehead bulged, and all the muscles on his body tensed up to the point that they seemed like tendons. Ah! Long Fei roared. Ancient dragon body, level 6. Open for me. Boom! A bloody flush exploded from his body. Roar! An angry dragon's roar sounded. A pair of dragon's horns grew on Long Fei's forehead, and traces of blood seeped out from every pore of his body. It was like endless power. It was as if the whole world was in his hands. A lock appeared between his eyebrows. His eyes turned golden. With Long Fei at the center, the energy of the six-stage dragon body exploded outwards as it continuously swirled. An enormous dragon circled Long Fei's body. With an incomparably sinister appearance, just like a real dragon, Long Fei took a light step forward. Break. The ground sank and an explosion occurred. At the same time, the ground split open and a mass of black flames surged forth. Whoosh, 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 asterisk 1,000 miles in a single thought. In the blink of an eye, it landed in front of the swaying teleportation formation. Long Fei stepped in and activated the teleportation circle. The light of the teleportation circle enveloping Long Fei suddenly turned. Whoosh! The halo of light engulfed them within the teleportation array, and they disappeared on the spot. It was also at this time Long Fei let out a light sigh of relief and said, "All right, I've finally escaped." The power of the sixth-rank dragon quickly retracted. As the power of the dragon's body disappeared, Long Fei's body spasmed. His body wouldn't be able to withstand it even if he was in the teleportation space. At the same time, the teleportation circle exploded the moment Long Fei entered. The teleportation space was extremely unstable. The two people kept clashing in the air, which made the situation even worse for Long Fei. This time, Pride and Amp, Cool Woman, unleashed her power to protect Long Fei. Even though her hair was disheveled from the impact, she still held onto Long Fei tightly. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The teleportation space was affected and began to explode. The Fisher chased after the two of them crazily. Closer and closer. As long as the teleportation space completely cracked open, they would be instantly swept into the turbulent flows and crushed into nothingness by all sorts of powerful laws. No, we can't let him die. Pride and Amp. Cool Woman's eyes focused, and he released spirit blood as well. A rainbow light appeared on her body like a rainbow. The seven-color divine light wrapped around the two of them and the Pride and Amp. Cool Woman said with a faint voice, "Ancient Fury God, give me your powers. Take us out of here." Roar. A peerlessly powerful, ferocious beast appeared, its huge body immediately blocking in front of the Fisher, and with a wave of its arms, it blocked the Fisher. At this moment, the two of them quickly disappeared from the teleportation space. Ancient Antiquity. Ancient Antiquity. The last day of registration for the Inner Sect examination. Many people were gathered at the registration point because there were still 2 hours left before the announcement would be made. They would then know who would participate in the inner court test this year. Other than the audience wanting to know, there were also some registered disciples who wanted to know. The final match of the Inner Sect examination was a martial arts competition. Anyone who participated in the exam could be their opponent. Knowing the background of the opponent was beneficial to the exam. The registration is almost over. I wonder how many people are participating in the intersect examination? How many points can there be? Just the registration points alone is 300 points. There are only 100 or so that go past the 300 points in the outer sect. You can't possibly participate in all of them, right? Participating is useless. The intersect examination is too difficult. There hasn't been anyone who has met the requirements for several years. I estimate that participating in the exam is just a waste of 300 points. How many things can I use these 300 points to do? You can't say that. This year is known as the most promising year. Each of the 10 strongest outer sect disciples are all good. They all have a chance to pass the exam. The Sword Immortal ranked first, the Sword Immortal ranked second, and the Zhongqi ranked second. And there's also that new Pride and Amp, Cool Woman. They are all powerful existences. I think highly of Sword Immortals. Sword Immortal Senior Brother has always been elusive, and in these past few years, they have never taken part in the assessment. They have always been making preparations, and they will definitely pass this year's examination. I think highly of Zhongqi. I heard that Senior Brother Zhongqi has already contacted the Elder of Inner House. If there are no surprises, he should be able to pass. The crowd discussed about who would be able to pass the inner court disciple test. Compared to the inner sect, the outer sect was like the underground, and the inner sect was like the sky. They were like villages in two different worlds. The outer sect had the identity of an ancient antiquity disciple, and the real core was the inner sect. Be it the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, or the cultivation resources given by the sect, they were all very abundant. Entering the inner sect means that your identity is different from the others. Just like the college entrance examination in his previous life, this was a test to surpass the Dragon Gate. In an attic, Zhongqi stood by the window with his hands behind his back, looked at the registration area, and asked, "Has the person still not come out yet?" A disciple behind him shook his head and said, "No, not only did that kid not come out, even our people did not come out either." Humph! Zhongqi coldly snorted. Does he think that a mere trash like him can complete the god's mission? The disdain in his eyes. He didn't believe that Long Fei could complete the mission of a god at all. Even if it was completed, it would be useless. The task credit of the Heaven Seizing Court was only 200, so let alone 3 people participating, even one person wouldn't be enough. Zhongqi asked, "Has the Sword Immortal returned?" That disciple shook his head. "So far, I have not received any news. Based on my guess, he probably hasn't registered this year." Zhongqi contemptuously said, "He's always been the strongest disciple of the outer sect, but he doesn't dare participate in the inner sect examination. It's really useless. When I enter the inner sect, you and I will be like heaven and earth, and at that time, I will step on your head." Zhongqi said coldly. He had always been ranked number 2 and was always suppressed by the Sword Immortal. This made him very unhappy. He would definitely be able to enter the inner sect this year, and at that time, he would definitely vent his anger. Go and send a message to Senior Brother Lin Yuan, even if that brat doesn't return, Zhongqi said indifferently. As soon as he finished, just as the disciple was about to leave the room, he heard a sound from afar. Rumble, rumble, rumble. From the direction of the teleportation circle, a few loud explosions could be heard. The entire outer sect was shaken by this. Several elders rushed out. Zhongqi frowned. Teleportation formation exploded? What happened? The disciple behind him said, "Senior Brother, do you want me to go and take a look? Or report it to Senior Brother Lin Yuan?" Zhongqi said, "Let's wait first." He had a bad feeling about this. Has Big Brother come back yet? Second Brother, the Heaven Fairyland is too dangerous. It's impossible to pass through that place. Could Big Brother? Zhao Dahan muttered. Bailey Tianhai glared at Zhao Dahan and said, "What is that crow mouth of yours saying? Big Brother won't be in trouble." Although this was what he said, Bailey Tianhai's heart had also faintly sunk. He had entered the Heaven Fairyland and knew what was going on inside. Not to mention the Shakyamuni who controlled lightning. Even those zombies were not people who could charge through. It was too dangerous. Bailey Tianhai said, "Shun, Let's enter the heavenly court again. Zhao Dehan immediately said, Of course, now that our cultivation has suddenly risen, if we meet that Thunder Lord again, we will definitely beat him up. Spirit Blood, who had absorbed Long Fei, had his cultivation increase explosively within 2 short days, especially their talent. It could be said that he had completely transformed the 8 heads into 16. His current calculation speed was astonishingly fast. The super hard body of the deep sea profound stone that Zhao Dehan had was also strong enough to explode. Before Long Fei left, he instructed Phoenix to wait for 3 days with Zhao Dehan and Zhao Dehan. He would definitely rush back. It was already the last day, and the sun was about to set. There was only a little bit of time left to register for the inner sect examination. Long Fei had not come back yet, but either something had happened, or they were fortunate in Secret World and did not want to wait here. Phoenix walked out of the room and stopped them. Bailey Tianhai said, Don't stop us. We promised to wait for 3 days. Now that the time is up, we must get out. Zhao Dehan said with a resolute expression, Amen. Phoenix said, Take me with you. I want to go as well. Bailey Tianhai and Zhao Dehan were stunned at the same time. Bailey Tianhai said, That place is too dangerous. You should still. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Phoenix interrupted him and said, If I don't go, neither of you will. Bailey Tianhai could only compromise and said, Go, 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 go. Phoenix placed her hands on her hips and mumbled to herself, That's more like it. Rumble. An explosion came from afar. Bailey Tianhai took a look and instantly knew where it was at. He asked, Why did the teleportation circle explode? What happened? Zhao Dehan muttered, Could the boss have returned? Not waiting for him to finish. Boss, 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 boss is back. A voice called out from the doorway. Before he could finish, Phoenix instantly disappeared. Bailey Tianhai and Zhao Dehan quickly chased after him. The transmission array appeared. The magic array exploded. Several disciples that were guarding the array were also sent flying and suffered heavy injuries. In the center of the formation, there was a concave shape. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman hugged Long Fei as her body curled up into a ball. As if she didn't feel any pain, she looked at Long Fei, who was in her embrace with his eyes closed, and said, Wake up, we're back. Wake up, hurry up and wake up. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman shook Long Fei. Long Fei closed his eyes and remained motionless. We're back. Wake up quickly, don't scare me. Pride and Amp, Cool Woman had a face full of worry. Looking at Long Fei's slightly pale face, she felt an indescribable pain in her heart. If not for Long Fei, she would have already been engulfed by the black hole. Her life was saved by Long Fei. At this moment, quite a few people had gathered around. Seeing the Pride and Amp, Cool Woman hugging Long Fei tightly, a few people were stunned, and many of them had looks of envy in their eyes. Wow, she even wants to hug me like this. Who is this kid? This is too lucky, isn't it? She's a #1 cold beauty in the outer sect right now. I don't think she's even lost a senior sister Luluashi. To be able to be held by her like this and be so concerned, I'm even willing to F Asterisk King die. Where are they going? How come the transfer array was destroyed as well? Not many people were concerned about the matter of the teleportation circle getting blown up, and even more people wanted to know what happened to Long Fei and Pride and Amp, Cool Woman. In this period of time, the popularity of the Pride and Amp, Cool Woman's outer sect disciples had skyrocketed, and they had already become the #1 beauty of the outer sect. Moreover, she was still the type of icy beauty who could only look from afar and couldn't get close. If she wasn't careful for a bit, she would be oppressed, and she might even be killed. This caused her popularity to skyrocket. But now, she was actually changing the way she normally carried Long Fei. This caused many people to be shocked, and they all wanted to know where Long Fei came from. It's him? Zhongqi's gaze tensed up and instantly recognized Long Fei and said, You're actually back. However, Zhongqi looked at the exploded teleportation circle, sneered, and said, It's useless to be back. Looks like I've failed the mission. Hu Liehua followed behind Zhongqi. He hated Long Fei to the extreme, and when he saw that was unconscious, he was very happy. He's just a piece of trash. Upon hearing his words, many people started discussing amongst themselves. The heaven fairylandess that went on the mission of 3 great gods? No wonder he was injured. Ha! He is simply courting death. Exactly. He also doesn't want to know how good he is. You must be tired of living. You think that anyone can take on a god's mission. Many people mocked. Seeing Long Fei in the arms of the pride and amp, cool woman, many of them were unhappy. They wanted Long Fei to die right now. Pride and amp, cool woman swept his gaze across them, his eyes filled with a sharp, killing intent. Immediately, the surrounding sound instantly vanished. Everyone knew her temper, and they made her unhappy. She really knew how to kill people. Pride and amp. Cool woman turned and looked at Long Fei, who was in his embrace, and said, "Wake up, we're back." Long Fei's body moved. He felt that he could no longer continue pretending. The backlash from the level 6 ancient dragon body was indeed very strong. If it was in the past, his body would definitely have exploded. The toughness of the body was completely different. Releasing the dragon's body above his cultivation realm was indeed a little difficult for his body to bear. It was extremely painful, but it was not like the last time. However, he did not faint. The moment Long Fei was hugged in pride and amp, cool woman's embrace, he pretended to faint and felt pride and amp, cool woman's soft chest. It was really comfortable. Therefore, Long Fei pretended to be unconscious all the way. Now that he had returned to ancient antiquity, with so many people present, there was no point in continuing to pretend. Moreover, he had to quickly hand in the mission to earn some points and register for it. Long Fei slowly opened his eyes, revealing an extremely tired look, as though he had just woken up from coma. He looked pained and slowly asked, Where is this? Acting? Long Fei was an Oscar's shadow emperor-level expert. So what if the pride and amp? Cool woman has lived for 2 lifetimes. She was still unable to see through Long Fei's acting. Seeing that Long Fei had woken up, her heart immediately relaxed and said, "We are back in ancient antiquity." "Oh," Long Fei softly replied, "Aye, I'm in so much pain." Pride and amp. Cool woman's expression tensed up again and said, "Where's the pain?" Long Fei said, "My entire body is in pain. I might not be able to live much longer." Pride and amp. Cool woman became even more nervous and said, "Don't speak nonsense. It won't happen. You will be fine." Long Fei said, "Do you remember what you promised me?" "I remember. I will accompany you for the night. No matter what you want to do, I will accompany you." With a serious expression. When the surrounding people heard this, they were stupefied. Many people directly held onto their chests with faces full of pain. My heart is broken. How could this be? No, this is a flower stuck in dog shit. Heavens, earth, hell. Hurry up and take this thing away. Long Fei's eyes suddenly shone with a bright light, and in that instant, he immediately retracted it and said, "Can I really do anything? You won't lie to me, right?" Pride and amp. Cool woman did not notice the glimmer of sly old fox coming from Long Fei's eyes. He nodded lightly and said, Anything. As long as you're fine, I'm willing to do anything." At this moment, the surrounding disciples had looks of utter despair on their faces. He felt like he was dead. Long Fei said, Then help me up now." Pride and amp. Cool woman was startled. "Help you up?" Long Fei said, "Yes. I feel that what you promised me just now gave me unlimited power. I feel that I can continue living. I don't know why. This might be the power of love." Without waiting for Pride and amp, Cool woman to help Long Fei up, Long Fei slowly stood up himself, and his complexion had returned to normal. No matter how foolish Pride and amp, Cool woman was, he understood what was going on. His eyes burned with anger and immediately revealed a dark and cold expression as he said, "Are you messing with me?" Long Fei replied, "Why would I mess with you? The power of love is the greatest power in the world. This is the power of love. Wait for me to wash up tonight for nothing. F***CK. Pride and amp. Cool woman's gaze tensed up, and his palm was about to strike at Long Fei. It was also at this time. Whoosh! A small figure descended, directly blocking the pride and amp. Cool woman, and said with a heavy voice, "You dare to hurt a single hair on my honey. I'll take your life." The Phoenix had arrived. Pride and amp. Cool woman was startled. He looked at Phoenix and said in astonishment, "What a beautiful young lady. Is he your husband?" He was slightly startled. At the same time, the expression in Pride and amp. Cool woman's eyes suddenly changed. His eyes stared straight at the Phoenix, his heart becoming overwhelmed with shock. The aura of the divine Phoenix clan of the Phoenix. He had sensed the aura of a phoenix. He had sensed the aura of a phoenix. The expression in Pride and amp. Cool woman's eyes changed as his pupils shrank slightly. Seeing that, Long Fei was secretly nervous in his heart. Pride and amp. Cool woman was someone who came down from the divine space. Was her appearance in the ancient antiquity only for the purpose of being reborn? Furthermore, the ferocious beast that she summoned in the teleportation space just now was definitely not an ordinary ferocious beast. It could trample the entire ancient antiquity to pieces. Long Fei had to be careful as he protected the Phoenix at the side while chuckling. "She's my wife. Are you willing to be Shao San?" It was just a joke, but the answer revealed something in the Pride and amp. Cool woman. Phoenix also realized that the aura on Pride and amp. Cool woman was different from the warriors in the mortal world, and she looked at Pride and amp. Cool woman. Pride and amp. Cool woman looked at Long Fei and disdainfully said, "I don't want to be your mistress." As she spoke, she glanced at Phoenix, after which she gently retracted her gaze and did not reveal anything. Long Fei was still very careful. At this moment, Bailey Tianhai and Zhao Dehan rushed in. When they saw Long Fei, they said excitedly, "Boss, you're back." Brothers of Five Elements also rushed over, and when he saw Long Fei, he heaved a sigh of relief. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "I'm back." Phoenix giggled and said, "My honey, I'm worried about you." "Who is she? Is she a new sister?" "So tall and so beautiful. She's not any worse than big sister Luo Shi." Long Fei thought of Lu Luoshi and said to Pride and amp, "Cool woman, I forgot to tell you, you can't be Shao San, you can only be Shao Si." Pride and amp. Cool woman glared at Long Fei fiercely. "Do you believe that I won't break your third leg?" Phoenix immediately said, "That won't do." Long Fei laughed awkwardly and said, "Girl, she's too dirty. Don't tell him about this." The surrounding crowd was filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. There was such a beautiful little lowly called my honey, and now there was such a cold beauty. When they heard the two words Luo, Shi, they couldn't help but think of the ancient antiquities goddess, Luluashi. "Make way. All of you give way. Elder Wang is here." An elder walked out from the crowd, looked at Long Fei and asked, "What's going on? How did the teleportation circle become like this?" Pride and amp. Cool woman immediately said, "I did it." Elder Wang's expression immediately changed, and he revealed a smile and said, "Yin Shi, there's nothing wrong. It's just a teleportation formation. I'll immediately get someone to fix it." Long Fei turned his face to the side to look at Pride and amp. Cool woman, and said, "So your name was actually Yin Shi?" Yin Shi rolled his eyes at Long Fei and ignored him. Many of the surrounding male disciples had excitement written across their faces. Such a nice name. Beautiful name and beautiful person. Beautiful. The name is even more beautiful. It's so nice to listen to. They were just saying some pleasant words. Yinshi did not even look at them directly. The Phoenix questioned, why did Bailey Tianhai not express anything? Under normal circumstances, whenever Bailey Tianhai saw beauty at Yinshi's level, he would definitely go up and pay attention to her, but he did not. Long Fei was also puzzled. Looking towards Bailey Tianhai, he realized that he and Zhao Dehan were both glaring at him with fury in their eyes. Moreover, the killing intent from Bailey Tianhai was obviously soaring. Zhao Dehan's fists also cracked loudly. Zhongqi had a look of disdain on his face. He glanced at the two of them and said, "Useless trash." Immediately, Bailey Tianhai was instantly enraged and asked with a heavy voice, "What the F***CK did you say?" Zhongqi said in disdain, "I said you too are trash." The chi on Bailey Tianhai's body stirred, his eyes locking onto Zhongqi. Zhao Dehan was a little unable to endure it any longer, and he was about to uncontrollably charge towards Zhongqi. At that time, at the entrance of South Heaven Gate, they had been stepped on by Zhongqi, and all the points they had painstakingly earned had been taken away. This was how they had survived. He wanted revenge. Now that they saw Zhongqi, both of their eyes had turned red. Zhongqi continued to ridicule them. "You all should be thanking me for being alive. If I hadn't let you all live, would you all still be alive? The reason I let you live is to let you feel the cruelty of this world. You want to earn points to sign up for the intersect examination? Now you don't even have a single point, right? Despair. This feeling of despair must be very pleasurable, haha." Zhongqi was incomparably pleased with himself. It was just that, in that instant, Long Fei's figure moved and directly landed in front of Zhongqi and instantly slapped him. A loud explosion resounded, a resounding slap across the face, sending Zhongqi's head flying, his body swaying. A five-fingered mark could be clearly seen on his cheek. "Laughing your ass," Long Fei said fiercely, exceptionally explosive, with the power of the three-rate ancient dragon body. If it wasn't for the injuries on Long Fei's body, this slap would have been able to melt Zhongqi's face. This slap was too sudden. Zhongqi never thought that Long Fei would suddenly attack. Even the few elders around did not expect Long Fei to dare make a move in public. Zhongqi clenched his teeth, his eyes glaring angrily. His eyeballs seemed as though they were going to pop out. They stared straight at Long Fei, and then he bellowed, "You dare hit me?" Anger raged. However, while he was speaking, "Huh." Long Fei turned his hand and slapped him again, and said angrily, "I'll hit you then. What's wrong? I'm just asking, what's the matter? F***CK. Did you do that to my brother? If this wasn't a sect, you would be dead by now." Long Fei said coldly. When he heard what Zhongqi said just now, Long Fei immediately could not tolerate it anymore. If his own brother was bullied, how could he, the eldest brother, not get back at him? If he endured it, then he wouldn't be Long Fei. The two consecutive slaps caused Zhongqi to be unable to find his bearings. He was stupefied, and his cheeks started to turn red and swell, slowly turning into the shape of a pig's head. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared, "Ah!" Boom! At the same time, he waved his right hand, summoning out his treasure sword. He struck out at Long Fei. Boom! Long Fei was not afraid. However, his body slightly sank. The pain brought to his body by the rank 6 berserk had not disappeared yet. At this time, when he was releasing three-rate ancient dragon body, his body would be in even greater pain. However, blocked in front of Long Fei and stared blankly for a moment. Without waiting for Zhongqi to make a move, she kicked him in the abdomen. Bam! Zhongqi's body caved in, and he flew out, his hands covering his stomach as he screamed out in pain. He stared at Long Fei and pried in damp. "Cool woman," and said, "I will kill you." "Yun," she said coldly, "one more word from you. You will die immediately." He wasn't joking. He was extremely serious. He wasn't joking. He was extremely serious. It was exceptionally cold. This aura was simply as powerful as exploding on the surface. Even Long Fei was stunned. "Awesome." Zhongqi held back his words and did not dare to make sound. He could only cover his stomach with his hands with a painful look on his face. The eyes stared straight at Long Fei, as though they wanted to tear him to pieces. Elder Wang looked at the pride and damp, cool woman. He had wanted to make a move on Long Fei, but he stopped himself in the end. No one dared to bother about an outer sect disciple who could kill in public. This was not a simple matter. Moreover, to be able to send Zhongqi flying with a kick, no need to mention cultivation level. After this year's inner sect examination, he might even become an inner sect disciple. Once he became an inner sect disciple, his outer door presbyter would have no choice but to lower his head and walk. Long Fei laughed. "Are you afraid that I'll be injured?" Pride and Damp, Cool Woman said, "I'm afraid that you will die in the hands of others." Phoenix hopped to Long Fei's side and said, "Big Sister Yin Shi, since you've stepped out on behalf of my honey, I'll accept you." Long Fei laughed and said, "Did you hear that? She accepted you. Anyway, you promised to accompany me for one night. Why don't we have a room today and move in tonight? We'll be family then." The Pride and Damp, Cool Woman snorted coldly and said, "Do you believe that I won't sew your mouth shut?" Long Fei smirked, "I don't believe it." Zhong Qi crawled up from the ground, maintaining a safe distance, let out a fierce snort, and said, "Humph, just you wait. Once I become an inner sect disciple, none of you will be able to escape." Long Fei looked into the distance and said, "What are you doing standing so far away? If you have the guts, then stand closer." Pride and Amp, Cool Woman said, "I won't help you anymore. At that time, even if you die by his hands, I won't care." Hearing Yin Shi's words, Zhong Qi said, "You bunch of trash, just you wait. All of you can only stay in the outer sect for your entire life. I'll never be able to participate in the inner sect examination." "Ha ha," Long Fei disdainfully said, "You will never be able to participate in it." Hu Liehua laughed. "Do you guys have points? How are you going to register? Don't you know that the registration for the inner sect examination requires points? You new Muggle disciples want to participate in the inner court disciple test. Dream on." Bailey Tianhai's brows tightened and said, "Big brother, our points." Zhao Dehan clenched his fists tightly and said, "If it wasn't for him taking away our points, we would have also. It's all because we're useless." Phoenix comforted her. "We have plenty of time. Since this year won't work, then let's do it next year." Zhong Qi laughed. "You will not be able to enter this year, and you will still not be able to enter next year. Do you not have any credits in your hearts for offending people? You still want to participate in the inner court disciple exam? You don't even have the qualifications to participate, huh?" Zhong Qi laughed complacently again. If not for the distance between them, Long Fei would have uncontrollably slapped him twice, letting him know the north, south, east, and west. Bailey Tianhai immediately thought of inner disciple Lin Yuan. He understood that the reason why Zhong Qi had blocked him at the exit of South Heaven Gate was because Lin Yuan had ordered him to do so. Long Fei naturally knew this and cursed in his heart. "Lin Yuan, you're King never-ending, aren't you? Wait until I enter the inner sect to see how I'll deal with you." At this moment, a huge wave of power came from the crowd and instantly pushed away the disciples on both sides. Long Fei frowned. King Swordsman Shi walked over with a faint, satisfied smile on his face. He walked in front of Long Fei and asked, "Do you want to enter the inner sect? Hand over what I want and kneel in front of me and take me as your master. I will bring you into the inner court. Not only you, but your brothers as well. I will bring you into the inner court." He was the peak owner of the Horcruxes Hill, one of the 7 great peak owneress with unparalleled authority. Bringing a few disciples into the inner sect was a matter of waving his hand. Zhong Qi's eyes darkened and became a little worried. It was impossible for him to compare with the peak owneress of the Horcruxes Gate. If Long Fei entered the inner sect, the one who would be in trouble would not be Long Fei, but himself. Zhong Qi's mind was trembling. To be able to receive the peak owner's attention and become his disciple, not to mention the outer sect disciples, even the inner sect disciples could only dream about this matter. This was a step into the heavens. The outer sect disciples all revealed looks of envy. Even the elders had the same thoughts. They really wanted to kneel at Dong Tiankui's feet. But Long Fei was very clear what Dong Tiankui wanted to do. He wanted the highest grade fire soul. If she wanted to be brought to his Horcruxes Gate Hill, then she wouldn't even know how she would die. No matter how well Dong Tiankui hid, it would not escape Long Fei's eyes. Taking a step back, even if Dong Tiankui became a good person, He would not let Long Fei go, nor would Long Fei let him go. If Dong Tiankuei was still alive, that also meant that Fong Wampeng might be dead. If Fong Wampeng had not helped him at the Fire Ox Cave, he would have died in Dong Tiankuei's hands. Thus, he must take revenge. Dong Tiankuei looked like he was about to devour Long Fei, and said, "How is it? This is what all outer sect disciples dream of. As long as you hand over what I want and kneel in front of me, you can bring your brother with you and ascend to the heavens. Long Fei, you have no choice. So what if you have completed the second stage of the mission? You only have 200 points, and you don't even have enough for yourself, not to mention the brothers around you. You won't be able to participate this year, but you won't be able to participate next year either. How is it? I am your only chance, otherwise." Dong Tiankuei glanced at Zhongqi and said with a faint smile, "He will forever ride on your head." He looked as if he were on top of God. He could give Long Fei everything he wanted. Promise him. This is a chance to reach the heavens in one step. If it were me, I would have already knelt down and taken him as my master. That's a peak owner of the Horcrux's gate. What is he thinking? Many people did not understand. Was there even a need to think about such things? Indeed, what he said made any outer court disciple kneel at his feet. But Long Fei was different. He did not bow to the heavens, nor did he kneel to the ground, let alone kneeling to him. Even bowing to Dong Tiankuei was something impossible. Long Fei glanced at Bailey Tianhai and Zhao Dehan. Their gazes were firm, without a hint of compromise. They would support whatever decision Long Fei made. Brothers of Five Elements was the same. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted as he looked at Dong Tiankuei and faintly smiled, and said, "Do you know that I don't have enough points?" Dong Tiankuei said, "Like I said before, even if you finish the mission of seizing the Heaven's Palace in the second stage, you don't have enough points. You have no choice." Long Fei squinted and laughed. "What if I can even complete the third trial?" What if I can even complete the third trial? What if I can even complete the third trial? Long Fei smiled confidently. Everyone was startled, and so was Dong Tiankuei. Immediately, Zhongqi was the first to laugh loudly. "Ha ha, ha ha ha." He had also completed the third stage? With just you, a dregs of Master Swordsman rank? Ha ha. It's the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. Everyone began to laugh. "Ha ha. Kid, this is daytime. It's not the time to dream yet. Has his brain gone bad and he is spouting nonsense? Is he sick? The 3 god missions have all been completed. If even he could complete it, then I would have done a long time ago. How many senior brother have you entered into these past 2 months? Not a single one dared to say that it was completed, and he actually said that it was completed? Ha ha, this is definitely a joke." They were all laughing at him, because this was simply impossible. It had been 100 years since the 3 god missions were released. During these 100 years, there had been people constantly challenging them, but none of them had succeeded. Every trial was extremely difficult and dangerous. It wasn't as if cultivation could solve everything. But if a person didn't have strength, then it was simply impossible. The reason why the first trial had been completed was because of Lu Luoxi's strength, plus luck. You want to complete the second stage? Even the intersect senior brother S could not do it, so there was no need to talk about the third stage, which no one had ever entered before. Moreover, even if he completed the third round, would Long Fei still be standing here? Wasn't it rumored that the third stage's Kai egg entered the divine space directly? Why did he still return to the ancient antiquity? It was very obvious that Long Fei was bragging. Dong Tiankuei laughed. "Long Fei, you deceived yourself and found a better reason. Do you think that there will be anyone who will believe that you have passed the third round? Forget about you. Even Elder of Inner House can't do it. Furthermore, from what I know, the task goal in the third stage basically doesn't have any. I know you want to enter the inner sect. Now, as long as you kneel before me, everything will be settled. Remember, this is your last chance." Dong Tiankuei squinted at Long Fei. He was determined to win against Long Fei. He wanted to make Long Fei experience the pain that was 10 times worse. The first step was to bring Long Fei to the Horcrux's Gate Hill, because he was the only one who knew what was happening in the Firebolt Cave. Long Fei definitely did not know that ancient antiquity had sent Golden Armor elites to capture Fong Wanpeng. If Fong Wanpeng came back to join hands with Long Fei, then the case would definitely turn around. But if Long Fei died, then even if Fong Wanpeng lived, he wouldn't be able to turn the case around. Dong Tiankuei looked like he wanted to eat Long Fei up. Long Fei swept his eyes across them and said lightly, "To scum like you, the third stage might be as difficult as ascending to heaven. But to me, Long Fei, thief Feng." The surrounding people were stunned. "What is a thief? What do you mean? What birdsong are you talking about?" No one could understand. Phoenix muttered, "My honey, what is a thief?" Long Fei said, "It's very simple, very relaxed meaning." Zhongqi sneered again. "Simple? Very easy? Kid, there's only less than an hour left before the registration time for the Inner Court Disciple Test. Didn't you already complete the mission? Go to the Task Palace to submit your mission. Get your task credit rewards and register. I want to see what kind of mission you are taking and what points you're taking to sign up for the Intersect examination." Zhongqi's words immediately echoed. "You're right. If you've completed your mission, then go and hand in your mission. Let's see how you're going to turn in the mission. Brat, it's useless to have a good mouth. This world is about strength." Long Fei looked at Zhongqi, who was laughing complacently, and said indifferently, "Senior brother Zhong, you seem to be very sure that I didn't complete the mission, right?" Zhongqi laughed. "I don't think so. I am 100% sure that you did not complete the mission." He had also entered the Heaven Fairyland before. He had seen zombies mountains all over the world. Not only had he witnessed the power of the Thunder God, he also knew that the Thunder God could be revived without end. It was impossible to pass this stage. He couldn't even pass the second stage, let alone the third. He was sure that Long Fei did not complete the mission. Long Fei said, "Let's make a bet." Zhongqi laughed. "What do you want to bet?" Long Fei said, "I can either." Zhongqi said, "That's what you said. I didn't force you. If you lose, you will kneel in front of me and kowtow 3 times, then call me grandfather." When he spoke, he looked at Pride and Damp, cool woman. After being slapped twice by Long Fei, he didn't think that Long Fei was stronger than him at all. However, Yanxi's kick was extraordinary. Yanxi did not even glance at Zhongqi, because she knew Long Fei would not lose. Long Fei said, "And if you lose?" Zhongqi said, "Like you, I'll let you handle it." Long Fei said, "Since you like to laugh, then just eat a bowl of shit. Eat feces. Poochie. Ha ha ha." Many people in the crowd couldn't help but laugh. Zhongqi's expression straightened and said with a heavy tone, "Okay, I'm waiting for you to kneel in front of me and kowtow while calling me grandfather." He did not believe that Long Fei could win. Dong Tiankuei said indifferently, "Can I join the wager?" He also wanted to get involved. Long Fei said, "Sure, I will take whoever wants a bet with me, no matter how big the bet is." A 100% win. How could he be afraid? "I'm afraid I'm not called Long Fei." Dong Tiankuei said, "I've won. Agree to all my demands and follow me." Long Fei immediately asked, "What happened to you?" Dong Tiankuei said, "If I lose, I'll let you handle it." Long Fei asked, "Really?" Dong Tiankuei said, "It's true." Long Fei said, "Then I want your life." Dong Tiankuei's eyes darkened. The chi of the 2 king swordsmen rank S beside him suddenly erupted and directly rushed towards Long Fei. The overbearing pressure caused Long Fei to be forced to retreat explosively. Phoenix immediately became unhappy and wanted to attack, but was stopped by a look from Long Fei. Looking at Dong Tiankuei's cold eyes, Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "I was just joking with you. How would I dare take your life?" He thought to himself, "Your life will belong to me sooner or later." Dong Tiankuei's expression slightly eased up. Long Fei said, "Your life is not worth much. Even if you want to come, it's useless. Since you want to gamble, How about this? You can win and get rid of me as you wish. If I win, you'll have to do as he says. Kneel down in front of me and kowtow, and call me Grandpa. Dong Tiankui's face suddenly changed color. The muscles at the corners of his eyes were twitching, filled with a strong, killing intent. In his sleeves, he clenched his fists. The aura on his body was also extremely explosive. If it wasn't for the highest grade fire soul, he would have long ago killed Long Fei. Dong Tiankui laughed sinisterly and said, "All right, I'll do as you say. Brat, go to the task palace and hand in your mission. I want to see how you will hand it over." Intersect, Main Hall Peak. Intersect, Main Hall Peak. Oh, you're back. That's impossible. In a mortal world, who can resist the temptation of rising to the heavens in a single step? That is the chance to enter the divine space. In a grand elder's courtyard, a disciple reported what happened to Long Fei in the outer sect. The great clan elder thought that the person who passed the third trial was no longer in the mortal world and had entered the divine space. He was in disbelief. The great clan elder said slightly, "Could it be that among the few people that entered the secret world, one of them entered the divine space?" The disciple said, "According to the news that came from the outer sect, the two of them went in and the two came out. No one stayed behind." The great elder's expression tensed up and thought, how could there be such a brainless person? What a great opportunity to be let off just like that. Is his brain filled with water? If the door was right in front of him, he would enter without hesitation. Even if it was a dog hole, he would still enter it, because it was a chance to become a deity. It was a chance to truly stand at the peak of this world. Ancient world was the highest level world out of the billions of small worlds. Who could give up after reaching the pinnacle of worlds? All his life, he had been working towards this goal, but with his limited talent, no matter how hard he tried, he just could not enter the divine space. He was the publisher and manager of the quest. He knew how difficult it was inside. At the same time, he had also been in the secret world, but he could not find anyone. It was the same as his talent. He couldn't pass it at all. It was too difficult. Not only did he have to be strong, he also had to be lucky. There were very few people who took the both of them into account. However, now the mission was obviously completed, but there was someone who didn't want to enter. This made him puzzled. It was too hard to understand. The disciple continued. Currently, Horcrux's Gate Hill Lord Dong Tiankui and one more outer door presbyter is gambling with the person who passed the trial. The great elder retracted his thoughts and lightly said, "Oh, a bet." The disciple said, "Montin Peak Lord Dong said that he will not be able to complete the mission. If he wins, he will have the person who cleared the level to follow him." Dong Tiankui, should I accept him as my disciple? The great clan elder questioned and said, "Dong Tiankui has not recovered from his severe injuries. Taking him in as a disciple at this time, isn't that a bit out of line with his style of conduct? Even if he were to accept disciples, he should at least look for disciples in the Horcrux's Gate Hill. Is there something special about this kid's body?" The disciple said, "This disciple doesn't know." The great elder said flatly, "If that kid has any ancient abilities, he should have been discovered during the rookie selection. There's something fishy about this." And the great clan elder narrowed his eyes slightly and said indifferently, "The third stage simply does not have any task goal. This stage is set to enter the divine space, so the biggest reward would be that it would no longer be possible to set any targets. It would be so stupid as to come back. The third trial had no goal. In other words, even if you complete the third mission, even if Long Fei handed over the Nine Dragon King helmet, it would be useless because there was no task goal and no reward. No matter what it was, it didn't exist. That is to say, useless. Nothing was of use." The great elder frowned and said, "I'll go take a look at the outer sect." It was only because he knew that the third stage of the mission did not have task goal that Dong Tiankui dared to make this bet. Forget about Long Fei failing the mission. Even if he completed the mission, it would be useless. It was useless to hand over anything. Although this mission existed, It did not have any goal to accomplish. Thus, regardless of whether Long Fei had finished or not, he had lost. Dong Tianque thought, "Fight with me? Brat, you're still too inexperienced." Ha ha. Task Palace. The surroundings were already surrounded by people. Bailey Tian Hai, Zhao Dehan, and Brothers of Five Elements followed behind Long Fei. Phoenix held Long Fei's arm, while Pride and Damp, Cool Woman walked at a steady pace to the side. Zhongqi said with a complacent sneer, if it was a bet between him and Long Fei alone, he still lacked confidence. However, right now, even the Horcrux's Gate Hill was betting with Long Fei. Even the Peak owner was betting with Long Fei. So what was there for him to worry about? He would definitely win. Thinking about how Long Fei would kneel in front of him and kowtow and call him grandfather later, he couldn't help but become excited. Dong Tianque stood on his left and right with two king swordsmen, elderly men, and when he arrived there, a strong burst of spirit chi would automatically create a path for him. We're at the Task Palace. Brat, go and hand over your task. Dong Tianque smiled slightly. Right now, you are in a hurry to go back on your words. Long Fei walked forward and said, I, Long Fei, never go back on my word when I do things. And I, Long Fei, have never lost. Very confident. He was very clear on whether or not the mission was completed. This gambling match. He had won for sure. Zhongqi let out a disdainful sneer. Acting cool. Let's see how you will continue acting later. And then, Long Fei walked to the mission window. Everyone was looking at him, their eyes unmoving. Dong Tianque calmly looked at Long Fei. Long Fei took out the Eyes of Destruction from the space ring and handed it over. This is the task of seizing the heaven. The disciples inside were incomparably nervous. Their hands trembled slightly as they received the Eye of Destruction from Long Fei and earnestly opened the secret scroll. Seeing task goal, Eye of Destruction. After a serious comparison, he said loudly, it's task goal. The second of the three great God missions, the Heaven Seizing Court's mission, is completed. As soon as he finished, the entire audience was in an uproar. Everyone's eyes were focused on Long Fei. Their faces were filled with shock. It's really completed? Damn, this can't be true, right? That's the three gods mission. Damn, this is a bit too awesome. What's there to be proud about? So what if you've completed the mission to seize the heavenly court? Right now, the reward is only 200 points. What's the use of it? Look at how arrogant he is. I don't believe he can pass the third stage of the mission. Some people were envious, while others were jealous. However, just like what some people said, the task reward in the second stage was tampered with by Dong Tianque. It was only 200 task credit, and it required 300 registration points, so there was nothing Dong Tianque could do. Useless. Dong Tianque revealed a faint smile, looked at Long Fei, and said, Congratulations, I was indeed not mistaken. However, the smile on his face was extremely sinister. I didn't think that I would actually complete the mission to seize the heavenly court. I can't let this brat stay. Go and hand in the missions for the third stage. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, What are you anxious about? Do you really want to kneel down in front of me and call me grandpa so urgently? Dong Tianque sneered. It was also at this time. Long Fei took out the emperor's helmet that had fallen from the Nine Dragon King's body. When the helmet appeared, it was dazzling, causing the entire task palace to be shocked. Long Fei passed it over and said, Third stage, Heavenly God's task goal. Disciple received the emperor's helmet and carefully opened the secret records of the various gods' missions. When he had finished reading the last pages, he looked at Long Fei and shook his head. It's not something that can be completed by a mission. Long Fei's heart trembled. Zhongqi laughed. The corner of Dong Tianque's mouth curled up into a cold smile. Kid, you've lost. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.